Pancakes, which just hit $78. I own 2,300 in Doge, which had a major
Doge
run up today.
Went up today, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it hit
Doge,
60
yeah. Doge is an interesting one because it's got no legs, but it's going to like go for at least the next year.
Yeah, if it hits $1, that's when I'll sell because I can't imagine it doing any more than that. This is a short-term investment on the Doge.
Doge has to be a short-term investment. Well, mathematically, because you know how Doge works, right? Like,
yeah, it's
mathematically you cannot generate more Doge coins after like another year if it continues at the same rate.
Which is
Daryl was telling us that last week. That blew my mind.
Well, yeah, because it's just like it's diminishing returns on creating coins. Eventually, you're gonna need the entirety of the world's economy to purchase coins at more than $1.
Which is why it's blowing up right now because of media shit, right? But yeah, it can't. There's no way it can get. I can't see getting past $1 at all.
Yeah.
So, but it's getting a lot of attention. So I threw some money at it, not a lot because it was, but it's making me about $550 right now.
Yeah.
And
I think it will go. It could go up to $1. Ethereum is a long-term investment. You could have Ethereum for another 10 years; it'll still grow.
That's what I've done. I have a friend who bought in 2018. I bought 9 of them for $180 a piece,
and now
he's
they're
up
worth
to over $30,000.
Yeah.
Holy hell!
Yeah, it's the same with
That
Bitcoin.
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I'm not investing in Bitcoin, I had some Bitcoin, but the reason why I sold it and turned around and put it all on Ethereum. The reason why I'm not investing in Bitcoin is because you're dealing with fractionals on this level, right? And I had $3,500 in Bitcoin. It's even if it hits 100 grand, my return on that is still not near as much as if I just own one Ethereum and it hits 5K even or 10K.
Right. It's just that's why HBAR.
I got out of it.
So I think in 2 or 3 years, HBAR is going to go from being less than $1 to being up to like $400.
Yeah.
And so I'm buying that one. That's the Hashgraph one. All it needs is for one bank to give it a shot, and that fucking price is going to go.
Yep. And it can happen. It can absolutely happen.
Yeah. So it's like for me, I'm like, I'll put a couple $100, maybe $1,000 into it just to see like if it hits, and then fucking explode. Like $1,000 times 10,000% is a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, most of my money's in Ethereum because it's a solid coin.
I'm with Bitcoin, but yeah, same reason. Yeah, and it's like a 10-year investment.
And then I got Cardano. I got some of that. I forgot how many coins I got of that. But I realized it's more important to own actual coins than fractions of one giant one. Like so you're not going to make any money that way. So I just got out of Bitcoin. I can't earn enough money for it to make me any money. But my my Ethereum is absolutely kicking right now. So I throw a bunch of money at it, but it's my biggest it's my best investment so far. And I've only been doing this a month. So, but I'm in for the long haul. Like you said, I need retirement money and I'm fucked. So I have to do something. But
you know what I invested in?
Yeah.
Huh?
You know what I invested in?
Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh, Sour Patch Kids stock.
Stock and Sour Patch Kids.
Show them the back, Dan. Show them the back of that bag.
Oh yeah. So it's all backwards, but there's a recipe here for putting them in cookies.
Gross.
It says
it's a thing.
Oh, that's gross.
It says Sour Patch Kids cookies. It's a thing. No. Like they have to clarify to you. That, no, it's real. I swear.
No. This happens. People like this.
That's gross. But, Sour Patch Kids don't belong in cookies, and bacon does not belong on donuts. You just don't do it.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Just dumb.
That's a tough one though, because did you have have you had the bacon maple bar? I might
not good
with you on that.
I don't like it.
It's too much. It's too weird, too much. And I love bacon, and I love maple, and I love donuts, but there's a limit. It's like frying butter and stuff. It's like we've gone too far. I mean, we've gone too far.
What do you think about pancakes or waffles?
Oh yeah, let's hear your opinion on pancakes or waffles. Which one?
Like if oh man, that's a tough one, dude.
It's an easy choice for me. It's obviously waffles.
They're the same for me, but they're different.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is right. Like I can't. It depends on how my mood. Like the other day, we went out breakfast. I got pancakes, but man, I really looked at that waffle hard. So
making eyes at that waffle.
What's funny though about waffles is that the nicer, more like fancy Belgium waffles or whatever are the ones I don't like. I would
agree with that.
I
the
love the
shitty
shitty blueberry
Eggo ones.
waffles from
Need the
Yeah.
Eggo ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
give me
fresh
a
out of the
Eggo
freezer.
waffle. Give me or like a waffle maker waffle, like a
Those are
waffle
good
iron
too.
waffle.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are
And it's
good.
not complete because you didn't pour enough batter in or something.
Like the ones at the hotel.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah,
good.
like the
Yeah, like I'll take the cheaper waffles over like the fancy ones.
because there's
And
too
I don't
much
know if-
vanilla in those.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
I
also
feel like
too
they don't
much
crisp
vanilla.
up very well. You get like
Yeah.
the Eggo waffles, and they actually crisp up.
Yeah, you need
So
to.
this
Yeah.
place that was right next to me called Blue Dahlia used to have a Belgian waffle that was like it was like super crispy. And I would get it with sausage too. And they would like put like fresh berries. So I'd get I would literally like little bit of English sausage, some waffle, some syrup, some strawberry, like eat that all in one bite. It was the most delicious fucking breakfast. And then they closed because of COVID. God damn it.
God damn it.
Another casualty.
Sons of bitches.
Another casualty, man. My
Mhm.
waffle place is gone.
On
I
for
like the
good.
waffles because waffles they got the cups, right? So you got the cups for the syrup. But I
And
also
the
like the
butter.
pancakes. Well, I mean, you can put butter on anything, but the pancakes are absorbent. So
Yeah.
they absorb the syrup. So
I think
there's
that's what I
two-
dislike about pancakes, actually.
Well,
You
you
need
don't
4
you don't
gallons
like the
of
sog.
syrup.
I don't like the sog. I also my problem with pancakes is not that they're gross. I will eat pancakes and I like, I enjoy the flavor of pancakes, but once I get about 3 bites into pancakes, I'm like, I never want to eat pancakes again. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
and
I'm the same way, man. Like I can't get through 3 pancakes.
Really?
it's ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I'm like
3 bites of pancakes.
I like bite. Okay, enough of that. Like, what
I
else
get
we got?
overwhelmed really quickly with pancakes.
Not me. man.
Same.
Yeah.
Very much. The
I just
same.
keep going. I
Me
have no
too.
problems with pancakes.
So there's no more
I don't know
pancakes.
I don't know what it is. And it's not that I'm not hungry anymore, right? It's like if I have bacon or whatever left on my plate, I'm like happy to go and like eat that. It's just that I don't want pancakes anymore.
Pancakes are really
I'm the
filling. for
same
sure.
way. I don't know what that is.
Too
I don't
much.
know. I'm actually craving pancakes and waffles. and
I mean,
everything.
it's funny. Yeah, I've always been a waffle guy. I've never really liked pancakes that much, but since I've been doing this keto thing, I've been like, man, some pancakes sound fucking.
they probably make keto pancakes. It's like keto
They
bread.
probably
isn't it?
do. I'm just too lazy
Probably.
to go.
It's
like,
just protein
All right.
powder and
And
water.
it probably tastes like
Fried
shit.
protein.
though.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's not. Doesn't taste like the real thing. You
You
know.
ever had
Mhm.
wheat pancakes?
Those,
Yeah,
Maybe a
dude.
long
those are
time ago.
okay. Those
They're
are okay.
disgusting.
Not good.
They should be illegal.
I don't like them. I like them even less than regular pancakes, and I already was like wishy-washy on pancakes.
I
Like,
think
if
when I go
that's-
back to pancakes, I'm gonna just go to Denny's, get the I think it's like $4. It's like bottomless
Well, like,
pancakes.
When you go
Mm.
back
Yeah.
to pancakes.
Exactly. When I return to pancakes.
Yeah, we return to pancakes.
I don't
When
need
we
that
meet
fancy,
again.
you know? Just give me the regular pancakes. They come at like 2 at a time. You just keep going. They're bottomless or whatever for $4. Just give me the
Bottomless
butter, the
pancakes,
syrup,
that
the
sounds like gross.
pancakes.
You can see a pancake dick.
What? Pancake?
I
dick?
said
They
bottomless
don't have pants on.
pancake.
Oh,
And I said, that sounds gross. You can see their dick.
I missed that.
I
missed
remember,
the setup to that joke.
All you heard was pancake.
I
dick.
mumbled half of it.
Oh.
Mm.
So
I
knew it was
remember at
gonna be
Rose
good.
Bakery, the chefs would cook me breakfast, like because I'd open at this
pretty cute.
cafe. The chefs would cook me breakfast for like my lunch break or whatever, and they would always mess with me in like the weirdest way. They'd always put a heart-shaped pancake on my plate.
So
and
I'm
then they'd,
messing with
like,
you, bro.
They'd like kiss at me, like
You're just
princesa.
messing
I'm
with
sorry.
me.
I'm sorry. Finish your joke. Go ahead.
Well, that was my relationship with them, was that they were always calling me gay. Like this was like the Mexican machismo thing, right? They're just like princesa, muñeca, ¿por qué tú eres joto? And like all this shit. But like they would literally like make me heart-shaped pancakes for breakfast. And I'd like eat that. I'd be like, yeah, this is great, dude.
Did they ask you
I-
about your culo or your verga?
Oh
They
yeah, all
call
the
you-
time.
Did they call you maricon? Anything like that?
I mean,
Oh,
that's
maricon,
literally,
yeah.
like that is a sign of respect amongst chefs for whatever reason. It's like if they're
Talk
not
about your
insulting
culo?
you, they must not really like you.
Oh, absolutely. That's just dudes. Period.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
There was also this. They would do that to like almost everybody, and this one guy named Kyle. they made his
they'd
breakfast,
make him,
but they
like-
took the sausage patty and broke it up, and then made it into like these like 3 like chunks almost. And then Tony comes over to me, and he's like, "It's poop." And then he gives Kyle his breakfast, and Kyle's like, "Oh, you gave me sausage. I didn't ask for that. Thanks, man." And then walks away. And poor Kyle.
sausage poop. Is this the
Yeah,
Kyle
shout out
I
to
know?
Kyle. We're live,
Yeah,
right?
you may have met him.
Like, the guy who couldn't stay quiet during Game of Thrones.
That's the
Yeah,
Kyle.
the very same Kyle.
That's the Kyle. Hey,
was-
That was pretty
Kyle.
funny.
One and the same.
That was pretty funny, but yeah, he was.
Like I wanted to strangle him to death, but I also was hilarious. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he was so invested in the episode. I couldn't help but be happy for
I mean,
him.
he was just
Right?
having a good time.
Yeah,
Like,
His
that's why
mom
I-
is
you
super
know.
nice, though. She was
Mhm.
the sweetest lady I've ever met.
Do we expect her to be mean?
well,
I mean,
maybe
she raised Kyle, so
Kyle's fine.
Like a good kid.
I know
He's a
he's
good
fine.
kid. Yeah.
Kyle, if you're watching this, you're fine.
Nothing wrong, Kyle.
So we we watched a movie.
We did watch a movie.
So
We watched a
let's
movie
start
that
this
Daryl
thing.
suggested.
So, this is the We Like This podcast. I'm joined by myself, Danon Waters, Daryl Waters, Ben Nickerson, Jeremy Dallas, and we watched Dead and Buried, which is a movie from the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's an 80s
old.
movie.
I
I thought it was older than that.
Dude, it's like 81. Well, it looks older than
It's
that. because
81.
it's a cheap movie.
And they shot it on like
Right.
16 millimeter film, like the
It's
film
really
grain.
rough.
They
Yeah.
shot it on the
nuts.
equivalent of a cell phone camera
Right.
in the
It
80s.
looks- It's funny too because I was watching it too, and I was thinking about that because of the budget was so low. Like everything's shot in the fucking dark. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Now they had the
Everything-
budget for
yeah.
smoke. They had the budget for smoke because everything in stores is full of smoke and everything.
Mhm.
They smoked it out, but like there's parts in you're watching where like because if you watch a movie now and it's outside or even for the past 20 years, if it's outside and it's dark, there's tons of light, right? Lighting this,
Yeah.
lighting that, like this. This is like the flashlight and maybe a light over in the corner and
Mhm.
nothing else, man.
It
is
They
a-
really lit it.
This is a literally dark movie.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is
That's true.
almost impossible. Like I was like, how do I change the contrast on my TV screen? Because I can't.
It's
fucking see
possible.
it.
It's possible. It doesn't say anything like that on IMDb or whatever, but it's possible. There's two reasons, right? It's either because it was low budget, like it is, and lighting's expensive, or they purposely did dark photography, as it's called, so to make it
Yeah.
creepier.
Well, I mean, watching
I
the
don't
movie,
know.
you kind of get the idea that they didn't really go for like jump scares really all that much. It was mainly the dread, or the
Atmosphere.
terror of the atmosphere.
Right.
Atmosphere.
So they did a good job building that, I'll say.
But-
But
real
I
quickly-
think they spent all of their money on the ADR, on the ADR
right.
fees, because
Oh.
every fucking line in that movie was ADR, and it. We'll talk about. I want to get into that.
It's probably too because right, like they were cutting it together and like, oh shit, this doesn't work. What are we gonna do? That's the ADR of this shit. And it's also funny that the effects get progressively more terrible as the film goes on, which I thought was
Right.
interesting.
Right.
But this is a movie that so when I was a kid and we got a couple of video stores on the hill, as it was called. I grew up in a small town. And we would go on a Friday night after my dad got home from work to the video store, and he'd rent a machine because we didn't even own a VCR yet. And we'd pick out about 8 movies for the whole entire weekend. And my dad had no sense of ratings for like R or no sense of a terrifying horror film. I mean, I saw this when I was like 9 years old. It scared the living dog shit out of me.
Dude,
And
that
this-
is
this movie
crazy
scarred me.
actually, because it's
This
dark.
movie scarred me.
It's a very
Yeah.
dark movie. Yeah.
I couldn't sleep for fucking months, whatever. But he'd read the book and he saw it and I was like, oh, I've read the book. This one just throws it in the pot. You know what I mean? He did this all the time, had no concept. And we're all watching it. I mean, we're not saying anything because we can't speak because we're so terrified of this film. And
Right.
it's all those tiny little goddamn kids. And it was the 80s, never seen anything like it. But yeah, this movie scared the living dog shit out of me. And the intro the first murder, holds up shockingly well, I thought. The rest of them get progressively terrible. But that dude, when they set this guy on fire and when he's hanging upside down in the VW bus, and they look at him. and he
Yeah.
screams.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Oh my
he's-
God. I mean, it's still terrifying.
It's terrifying, but it's disturbing too. Like
Yeah.
it's scary, but it's also just like kind of disturbing. Like
Well, it didn't
when he's all
activate
netted
that,
up and
yeah.
stuff.
It
Yeah.
didn't activate that like, oh my God, I'm in danger feeling that I think a lot of horror movies go for these days. It activated that like I feel for this guy and
Yeah.
like imagining being in his position like is awful.
Yeah. What a horrible death.
It's like it's not the
Yeah.
same kind of fear that you get from like Insidious or whatever, where it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in danger.
Right. That's a good point.
It's like this this empathetic like, oh my God, this is just so bad for him. It's like seeing it. It's like a worse version of seeing somebody get kicked in the balls.
Yeah.
It's-
way
Right,
way
yeah.
worse. But this movie takes place in a town. I think it's in
It's
somewhere.
wherever
One of these
St.
places.
Louis is.
St.
It's on the
Louis?
East Coast, I believe.
Maybe it looks like Maine or something.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
That's
know.
what I was
Maine.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Town of Potter's Bluff, and again, I saw it when I was a kid, and I haven't seen it in a long time. And I was a couple of stuff I was still fuzzy on, like how long has he been the sheriff of this town? It feels like it's not been a very long time, but it's clearly been a long time as events unfold, and also he knows everyone by name. You know what I mean? So he's clearly been in this town for a long, long time, many years, whatever. But it was kind of hard to tell exactly. It felt almost like a Chief Brody situation. Like he hasn't been a sheriff that long. Yeah, he clearly has been. I don't know. It's just kind of the feeling I got from it. But
Yeah.
Didn't they say he grew up in the town and then left?
I think that's what it is. I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Well, he
Big
went and got
city cop.
he got his big city master's degree or whatever in
Criminology.
You're right.
Yeah.
And then he came back. Yeah. So in the meantime, right, all these Dobbs character, who is Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
Yeah.
Right.
Is that really? Oh
Grandpa
my
Joe.
God. Oh, no way.
which makes it even better, in my opinion. His character, and actually, this is the last film he did. He was dying of cancer during the filming, in fact, and he died. I
Really?
think before the premiere. I don't even think he saw.
I read that actually. I was
Man.
curious. I read that between scenes he was actually in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
While he
Oh,
was
wow.
shooting
While
this.
they're making this movie.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
brutal.
But so yeah, the movie opens up with this guy taking pictures on the beach, and this girl
Total
shows up.
15-year-old girl fantasy.
I know, tell her. Shows up and he starts to take some pictures of her and woo, he's sexy. I'm gonna sell this to Playboy and shit, and sort of gets topless. It was an 80s horror
Yeah.
film, so we got to get some skin in there right away.
Well, I want to
Mhm.
point out though, usually in 80s horror films, particularly, like the guy seeing the girl is always such a fucking dirtbag. Like for whatever, and you're always like, you know what, he totally deserved it. Every time I've seen a guy who's like around titties before he dies in an 80s horror film, I'm like, yeah, fucking kill that guy, screw him. This
But he
dude though,
seemed like the predator actually in that exchange. He seemed like kind of predator. He's like, I couldn't help but like, he's like, yeah, look at
you
Freddy.
thought that he was gross. I actually thought that
He was
I thought the girl
weird,
was the
man.
predator there, dude. She shows up.
Yeah, clearly.
The
I,
girl.
I thought he was very charming, and I think he was
I thought he
disarmed
was
at first.
I thought he was a perfectly fine guy.
Dude, he was just putting the moves on her, bro.
Well,
And
okay,
he
yeah.
asked her for consent too. He was like,
Yeah.
he was like, right here, really?
Yeah.
That's
she's
true.
like,
yeah.
Yeah. And he's like,
And then she's all sign here. Initial here.
what I was trying to say was I actually thought that this guy was much less of a dirtbag than most dudes that are like approaching the girl in 80s movies before they get killed. Like slasher films, usually I'm like, yeah, fucking kill that guy. He fucking deserves it.
Well, I think
Definitely
there's
less douchey than most of those. That's true. than most of those guys.
I didn't get that vibe at all. I felt like he was a total fucking victim.
I felt like he was a total victim too. I was like, oh man, poor guy. Like, damn.
She hoodwinks him with the titties, right? And then
Yes.
out of the woodwork comes half the town, and they fucking beat the shit out of him. Like it's a brutal beating to
Yeah.
begin with. Then
Yeah.
they fucking hanging up by a fishing net, pour gasoline on his head. I mean, I'm telling you guys, as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid watching this, and my dad just sitting there like, yeah, this is normal. I was fucking shitting my pants. Like, this is a terrifying
honestly,
thing
yeah.
to watch.
That
You know?
really is crazy.
Probably
And-
wasn't
and-
gasoline though, because that explodes when you light it on fire. It's probably something like
It's
Probably
movie
like
gasoline.
kerosene or something.
It's movie
Yeah,
gasoline.
like-
It doesn't.
Yeah, it
explode.
was like gas.
The
Gas
vapors
canister.
don't explode. You can just light on. You're gonna throw a match at it, and it's all good.
And this is the first time you see in the movie pretty early on where they're all like taking photos.
yeah,
like,
they're taking
snapping
photos. They're shooting some
pictures.
Super 8
So
with a
I
big
was
light
wondering
rack.
about
Yeah.
that because he was a photographer, right? So at first I assumed that there was going to be a theme behind each killing. I thought they were literally like rubbing it in his face that like he's
Yeah.
this photographer, and they were trying to make him feel bad for like his job. But then they just take pictures of everybody the whole movie, and I was like, oh, they just like to document their crimes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
It's
Yeah.
crime
It's
documentary.
a sinister. It hits its sinister point, and
Yeah, exactly.
later in the film.
Well, that's cool though too, because I mean, there's a reason for the pictures in the video or the film, obviously, but it's cool too because it makes you ask these questions like, "What's going on here?" You know what I mean? Which is the sign I think of a good movie.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, they beat the shit of this guy with a fucking crowbar. They Half-Life his ass. Then they string him up and set fire to him, and then it cuts to the cops and the tow truck guys showing up, and his VW bus is turned over on its head, and he's obviously dead inside because they're talking about him and stuff. And then here comes the mortician slash
Corner.
corner. Playing, listen to his big band music, and he's this old dude. He's Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is hilarious.
Right.
And he shows up, and they're talking about it. Dobbs, the whole, the cop guy. And then he looks at him, and then it shows this guy hanging upside down in the van. He's hideously burned. It's just already terrifying. And you're like, going, oh my, and the special effects are incredible on this certain
In that
scene.
particular
Are
scene, they
incredible.
definitely are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy screams, so he's not dead.
Yeah.
It's fun. And the one eye is burnt over. I mean, it is some amazingly terrifying
Yeah, it was shocking.
special effects and shocking part.
Yeah.
And then he's up taken off the hospital, whatever, and then we're introduced to Dan and his wife, I think happens next, kind of thing, or whatever. Who's played by a really annoying Melody Rogers, or Anderson rather. She was in the only other big thing she did was Flash Gordon, and she was really annoying in that too.
I thought she was great in this movie.
Really?
She was
I thought she was
like,
good.
yeah,
just
she
feel
was like,
way overacting the whole time.
no, I felt like she was not an 80s actor. I felt like
Really?
she was a real person, which
No,
you
but I
don't
worked
get a
for it.
lot. You don't get a lot in especially low budget 80s films because everybody's still coming out of theater.
Yeah.
So they
she
all
was-
talk big, around this town, see? Like that kind of stuff is still very prevalent all the way up to the 90s. And she wasn't like that. She was very like human, which I thought. So when
She was ahead of her time.
yeah, so when she came into the scene, I was like, oh, this actually kind of takes me back, especially that scene where she's talking to the school kids about the voodoo,
Yeah.
the way she's like interacting with them. That was very real feeling, as opposed to not like stereotypical 80s. Like when the movie opens and the blonde girl like
Yeah.
seduces the photographer, that
oh
is
my gosh, that's
me
classic
80s acting.
Yeah.
That is straight out of the book. Just like,
And well,
you want
and
to
the
take a
dialogue,
picture of me?
pretty
That's
girl?
actually
Yeah.
what got me more than the
Yeah.
acting. Was just like, what are you saying?
But,
Nobody talks like that.
No one.
Movies-
Nobody
Movies-
has ever talked like this before in their life.
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah, that scene at the very beginning. What's your name? Actually, don't tell me. I'm gonna guess. Fred.
Yeah, Fred.
Yeah.
And is his name actually Freddy? We find out his name's
No,
actually
it's not.
Freddy.
I think that they
George-
don't know
George
his name. so
Des
they're just-
Moines
Yeah.
or something. No, his
Oh.
name is. They say it several times.
They find
Oh,
out who
okay.
he is, but they
Yeah.
can't find any connections to him or something like that.
But
That's
he's the gas station guy.
he
They turn him
becomes
into
the
the gas station guy.
Oh,
becomes
so
the gas
then
station guy.
his name.
Then
is
he's Freddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
It's-
he's
it's-
Freddy.
It's funny to watch this too because it's 1981, so the only technology they have is telephones and a telex, right? Like there's no
Telex.
Right.
fucking internet. Like, dude, you could like, who's this guy? I don't know. On your phone, you know what I mean? You can find anyone right now. It's nothing. Back
Yeah.
then, you had to wait. You had to send shit. It took days to get stuff back from labs. There was no DNA yet. It's fucking
It
crazy.
took him 3
know what I
days to
mean?
get the freaking photos.
film.
Or the
I, well,
film.
that film. I love that film. Was like the reel is this big. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like what is on this fucking thing? Speed of
It's
film.
like
And it's
six
funny
pictures.
because when he pulls it out, it looks like Super 8, but the canister is like super 16 size or 16 millimeter size.
Hmm.
Even though it's a tiny canister, when he pulls it out, it looks like Super 8. But anyway, that's a whatever detail. But I remember even as a kid looking at it, thinking, what kind of film is that? That's a tiny ass canister. And the fact that it was in a light tight canister like that, that's not how so it's not Super 8 because Super 8 came in its own cartridge. And
Yeah.
you shot the cartridge. Super 16 came on reels that you had to load into a magazine actually. So anyways, I couldn't tell which kind of film it is, but whatever. It looks like 16. Anyways.
It's like a thing of mints that's been painted.
Yes, that's exactly
It's
what it is.
Altoids. Yeah. The Altoids
You nailed
left
it. They're like,
over
what,
from the
what
PA.
we don't have a film canister. Like, I got this kind of mint here. I love that guy's accent who runs the hotel.
Oh,
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
His accent is.
Wait, what's
It's
Why don't
an
you ask your
accent.
wife?
Yeah, watch Ask Your Wife. It's like,
Yeah.
like this. Guys in movies, apparently. And did you notice that the tow truck driver? Did you recognize that guy?
Uh-uh.
You look familiar.
Robert England. He played.
Oh,
Freddy
shit.
Krueger.
He's fucking Freddy Krueger. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh crap! Wow.
way
This
pre
is
Freddy
like just
Krueger.
a few years, right? This is like
Yeah,
just
just a few
couple
years.
of years before.
Nightmare was
Nightmare?
84, so this
Yeah.
is 81. Yeah.
Yep.
So he'd started in this, and he was in that TV show V, and then he was, which you guys that was
V.
aliens taking over the world. and
I watched V.
lizards underneath. Yeah,
Yeah. It turns
pretty terrible.
that's where like all the lizard conspiracies comes from is
really.
yeah, you know
That
how
was one of
people
those-
say that like Sarah Palin is a lizard or whatever.
Do they say that?
Yes,
I've heard
absolutely.
this before.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Lizard
you're-
Well, they say
conspiracy.
politicians are the lizard people. And we're
And she
being
lives
controlled by
Well,
on-
only
lizard
in the
some
planet Earth.
politicians, right? And the
Mm.
politicians who are lizards is entirely dependent on like your leanings. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah, that's true.
Ah, okay. So someone,
then-
anyone could potentially be a lizard.
Then they're all lizards.
well, they're all
Um,
lizards. Yeah, it's just whoever is convenient
Okay.
at the time.
But anyway, so they kill this guy and they shoot film and take pictures the whole time. And you're like, what the fuck's going on? They do the investigation. He's like gone later, and I'm kind of foggy now as to what some other stuff happens and some things happen. But
I was
go ahead,
kind of
David.
losing my concentration here a little bit. It
Yeah,
did kind
I
of
mean,
sag.
just
It,
technical
it
story.
has, yeah, it has that typical horror movie kind of sag to it. You know,
Yeah,
where you get the big scare in the beginning, and then although I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this movie was going to be very indie, or at least very much older, and not have I can't remember the name of the beginning of movies where they like make it kind of big to bring you in. I thought it was going to be a really slow start movie because it really
yeah.
starts out that way with the titles and all that stuff, and he's
Yeah.
taking pictures, and it was just like, oh, I forgot how slow
That-
older
yeah.
movies are, man.
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
take forever. So I was just on my phone. I was like, this guy's going to take pictures of nets. All right, cool. and then as soon as the dialogue kicked in, I was like, oh, okay, I'll start paying attention now. And it was like 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Well,
They
I
actually
think the
hook you in
movie
pretty
is
quick.
just
They do.
the
Which I was
movie's really
glad
just
about.
an excuse
Yeah.
to show what like 7 murders and then
yeah.
have a big reveal at the end.
Well, so that's what. Oh, that's right. The next murder is some old drunk in the
Mhm.
boatyard.
On a boat,
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Same thing. They put hooks in his shoulders and shit, and they slit his throat and everything.
Yeah.
Shoot video the whole time and stuff like that. And then I don't remember if he shows up later.
He
or we
shows,
see-
yeah, he shows back up.
yeah. And then you're like, what the fuck's going on? And then I think we see Freddie at the diner because somebody mentions Freddie, and
That's
it's the George
the moment. Yeah.
George Lemoyne guy, and you're like, wow, what's really going on here? These motherfuckers are coming back.
And then the
They kill,
family,
like-
they actually kill. They
Yeah.
kill the
Yeah.
family.
The whole family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like,
I
that was
hate-
kind of ballsy for the movie to.
I know,
kill a
and they
child.
almost got out, man. That family almost made it out. Like, I
Dude,
was
that dad was resourceful. Kicks a fucking window out, right?
Yeah.
Climb down this fucking window. Like I can't do. He's like, get out there.
Get out there.
Great.
Yeah, dude, you know what? He did a lot better of a job than our friend from Nocturnal Animals.
Yes.
Right.
He did.
Listen,
He
He
did.
fought off a
Oh.
whole village of people.
It's,
Mhm.
Yeah.
tough, it's tough. He did. He fought Potter's Bluff by himself. And then, of course, the car won't start. I tell you what, though, of being from the 80s, cars did not start in the 80s, guys. I'm telling you right now, it happened all the
I
time.
also assumed
So-
that they would like sabotage the car, right? Like they were
Well-
inside the car. Like, why wouldn't they have just pulled the spark plug
Because
out or
it's
something?
scarier to just jump out from the back seat and pull that big haired kid over the seat.
Not to him.
That was pretty fucking
Dropkicked
funny,
that
dude.
girl out of the fucking car, man.
Dude, when that scene pulls up and they grab the kid, I was cracking up. That was hilarious. They just bodied this kid over the front seat.
Right.
That's insane.
She
Yeah.
grabs the kid from the back seat, and then he leaps over the dash and fucking drop kicks her out of the car. It's like
Yeah.
one of the most,
Yeah.
like this dad was like this. They deserved
fucking
to
Rambo.
escape, man. He was
Yeah.
fucking crushing it.
He's protecting his family.
Guy was ready. He was
Not
ready
running
to be
around.
attacked by an entire town of people.
There was a lot of really,
Mhm.
you know, what's funny though. The scene of them running through the house when they first start getting attacked was very reminiscent of what they do in the shadows. No. What's the
The vampire
What
movie?
we do in the,
the
shadows?
vampire movie? Yeah.
What we do in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows? Is that
The funny one?
the comedy? Yeah.
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 Yeah. It was very reminiscent of that scene because they're like running from door to door in this house. They open a door and then it's like a lady with a
Oh,
knife.
I
and
forgot
they're
about
like,
that scene.
"Ah!" And they run to another
Totally
door
true.
and it's like the old guy and you're like, "Ah!" And they run to
yeah.
the-
Well, I
It's
can
like-
tell you that they stole that from this movie, not the other way around. So
Yeah. Well, I
No.
noticed that. No, yeah, definitely.
Well,
I
it
noticed
was
that-
funny to see the satirical thing.
yeah, because you've seen
Yeah.
it in a zillion horror movies that part when that's happening.
Yeah.
They open the door and it's someone here and it's someone there. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, Hot Fuzz, the Edgar Wright movie, clearly took a lot of inspiration from this movie for
think
its,
so.
its main reveal.
Okay.
And I never
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know about
Interesting.
this movie, but if you, the main reveal in Hot Fuzz is basically
It's
the
whole
big
town.
plot to this movie,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
which is the whole town is actually like,
It's
or a
everyone who's
version
in
of
on
it,
it
you know.
except for you. Yeah.
yeah.
So this
Right.
family gets killed, and Freddy Krueger pulls him out of the water, and we're seeing this whole movie through the sheriff's eyes, right? So Freddie Krueger reports to him, "Hey, I found a car, but it's abandoned. There's no one in. I just found this toy airplane, so we know the family got killed, even though I don't think we actually see it, right?
No, it seems like they escaped.
It's off camera, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're dead, and then the scene with and then there's somewhere around this time the sheriff's looking for bullets that are just in his house somewhere. You know, what I mean?
Shells.
I like that.
didn't go to the beach.
She's like, "Did you go to the beach?"
I love that she's just polishing silver. That's just great,
Yeah.
man. Just hanging out, polishing silver, doing what wives did in the 80s, apparently.
And then he flips the
doing
fuck
some
out
life
when
things,
he sees the
you know?
like weird coven thing in her.
Well, that's when he finds the witchcraft book
Yeah.
and that weird
Yeah.
fucking sacrificial knife. And I
Yeah.
love it. She's like, dude, she is like right on it with the lie. Like, I'm just gonna teach, 7-year-old kids.
I
about
thought
what-
it could be fun to teach them about witchcraft, honey.
She's got all the great excuses though. He's like, "You're gonna teach kids this?" And she's like, "The kids get bored, you know." And I'm like, I'm like, I think I buy
Yeah,
this.
that's actually pretty cool. That'd be
like,
badass.
Getting back to what
You
you
know
were
what?
saying, Dana,
She's like
she
a dog.
seems so natural. Like she's like, "Yeah, I don't know what your problem is, man. Like I'm just teaching kids about witchcraft."
Yeah, she fucks him up.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
and then he's like, "You're right, I'm an
And
asshole."
he's like,
Like,
oh, and then she turns it around. She's like, "Oh, and by the way, did you drop off that
Yeah.
I asked you to drop off?" And he goes, "No." And she goes, "Oh, well, I found your shells." And like tosses it.
Mhm.
Oh, and tosses them.
You know,
to
yeah,
him.
you know what's
How
you know
did
what's
she
funny?
win this argument?
What's funny too is the whole movie is just to give him clues for the reveal at the end. If you think about it, right? Like
Right.
what's we'll get to that, I guess, but it's always with movies like this. I'm like, well, why don't you just tell him? Why the fucking
Well, especially when you get to
An
the
hour and a
very
half.
end of the movie.
Yeah, like just tell him.
It's like,
Right.
That's what it is.
why?
All these clues throughout the whole movie when you could just pull them aside, broke it to him easy,
Mhm.
get him a
Right.
hot beverage.
By
Anyways,
the way, yeah, exactly.
There's easier ways to do this than to fucking terrify the shit out of a guy throughout a whole entire fucking movie, right?
Right.
So he brings the film in. It's gonna take 3 days, Dan. Sorry, different guy. And then he there's a part around this time, I don't remember. He hits somebody in a car and the arm comes off
Oh yeah.
the guy.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty good effect. I thought that still looked pretty good.
I like it.
And then around this time too is when that hitchhiker girl gets smashed. I love that part. You sure you want to get in the truck with me? How do you know I ain't a dirty old man?
It's
that
like,
was good.
"Ooh,
I'm like,
okay."
wow.
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
Like, all of a sudden, I trust you because you called yourself out.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
told her what's up. And
They
he's like,
should've
"Hey, we're
had
just gonna
that-
stop by my boat first." That's like, sure, why not?
That girl should definitely have been the first girl in the movie.
She was very attractive.
She was
Way too attractive for the 80s.
Cuter, way cuter than the first.
Then the first girl?
Mhm.
By my reckoning,
I see.
By my
They
reckoning.
rated him. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
should have just swapped them.
Ah.
Yeah, she deserved
The
the first
casting
role. I
mistake.
mean, they were both fine actors. They both could do what they needed to do, but she should have been the first girl based purely on how pretty she was in a military jacket.
Dude, she
I
had that
was
pixie
sweet
nose.
on her. Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know what you want from me.
What's that?
I was sweet on her.
Even her upturned nose.
That
Yeah,
that one
that's the
guy
best
was-
I
part.
like that, dude. The fact that she
That's the
could
best
put an
part.
eye out with that nose, man. Fucking,
Yeah.
She could scratch her own forehead with that nose.
Yikes.
It's
The
amazing.
thing was- man, if she ever needed, if you ever asked for something above her, man, she doesn't even need to point.
She
Yeah.
looks up 42 degrees and she's drowning if it rains. So, anyways, they fucking. I don't know why 42 degrees. But
It's very
In my head.
accurate.
yeah, but they
Good point,
I
actually.
measured it while she was looking up.
Hmm.
Paused it and everything. But yeah, so this guy, creepy old man, brings her to his boat, and then they kill her too. They smash her face with a rock.
Yeah, they just.
And then-
that was brutal, man. I would not want a
Yeah.
rock thrown on my
like,
head.
don't
Mhm.
kill the pretty girl with the rock and the jacket and the
Pretty
nose.
girls,
but-
girls gotta die, man.
And I
It's a horror movie.
thought now that nose is really going to be, at the back of the head. That rock. But
Actually,
anyways,
when they threw the rock at her nose, the nose just like split the rock in twine because it was
crack the rock.
Gonna
He's like,
need
"That
a
all you
bigger
got?"
rock.
And they start throwing fruit at her, and she starts fruit ninjing with that fucking.
yeah, and then she
Another-
flaps off to a fucking tree and starts like pecking it.
Just a woodpecker.
I love how we talk about how attractive she is, and also how hilarious her nose is.
Nobody is safe.
Yeah.
Nobody's safe.
No.
And the nose is the best part.
Yeah, it actually is what
Right.
makes her cuter somehow.
Yeah.
It is
absolutely.
true. I mean, I wouldn't say no to her.
even though you could.
I wouldn't
she
say
could-
no's to her.
Oh, clever.
That's a
That was
bad
good-
way
we
in,
need a
guys.
screenshot.
I,
That's a
uh,
bad way in.
I knows what you mean. But anyways, so I think it cuts to her getting being at Dobbs's, apartment.
Right. And he's
Uh,
like, oh, she's so pretty. And it like shows her face and it's like all
Yeah,
fucked
yeah.
up. And you're like,
Too. See, now that's the other thing too, is like that looked great. Her smashed face.
I was gonna
looked
say, it looked
incredible,
really
Smash
good.
face
Yeah.
looked real as fuck. Yeah.
you know. So it's weird how the effects were hit and miss. So that looked great. And I'm not sure if this is what morticians do, if they take you down to your
They
bone-
don't
Your
I don't know.
bones?
strip your
These are-
skin
I
off. They
cannot
definitely
possibly
don't
imagine.
do
Use
that.
clay
A little bit
to
much.
No.
remake you? I don't
Why?
think so.
Why
But I
would
think
they
it's just
take your entire body apart just to put more of it on? Like,
But I think what they were really doing was trying to start bringing you into whatever his technique is
Yeah.
to zombify people. This is part of it. I think
It
they're just
involves
doing
a
that.
lot of clay.
Yeah, a lot of taking someone's face completely the fuck off. But so he goes through all that, and then he says, now you're perfect, well, you're beautiful, and kisses her and leaves. Then the girl at the beginning of the movie shows up out of the behind the door,
Right.
and then she just wakes up and gets off the bed, and that's when you really start going like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
There's clearly some kind of voodoo zombie shit going on, right?
Yeah.
Some
Some reanimation of the dead.
reanimation of dead. So that's the sheriff character takes the flakes of skin off his grill from that arm, brings them to this other doctor. And so this town has a lot of doctors with lab equipment and
It
shit.
really
It's a
does,
tiny
and
ass
they're all
town,
pretty
right?
local too,
They're
right?
set the fuck up, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah, because he's like, well, you could take it upstate if you want it. It's like
Yeah.
you're all local.
Like this dude lives in Potter's Bluff and he's got a full lab and is doing
Yeah.
pathology.
There's
and
like
shit.
I like how they decided to deck out the, like, I don't know if this is kind of an 80s thing, I guess. He's like, if it has to be some kind of scientist, like you're gonna know about it. Like there's
Yes.
gonna be test
yeah.
tubes. There's gonna
Yeah,
be
he's
kinds
got
of
test
random
tubes.
Yep.
liquids with all kinds of different food dye
Well,
colors in the
and-
back.
White jacket, baldness,
White
all the
jacket,
things
yeah.
scientists have.
Mhm.
Baldness. Yeah.
So he
just
gives
like
it.
the
So
doctor
he gives
from
the
House.
stuff. The dude tests it. And he says, "This stuff's been dead for 3-4 months." And he's like, "It's impossible," and all this shit like that.
He's
and then-
starting to lose his shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yes.
he wants to do more tests and stuff like that. So he's calls somebody upstairs or whatever, and so they show up and kill him. And this is probably the worst death scene in the whole fucking film.
What are
All
you
of a sudden,
talking
it's a
about? It was so
rubber head.
good.
Dude, it's so terrible. All of a sudden, it's
It
a rubber
looked
head and
very
him
bad.
going, ah, ah, ah. It was just-
The sound effects are great.
Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
For like
I thought it
5
was
minutes, I was like,
Now, when I was a kid, it was amazing and terrifying and it looked the most real. I was watching it now, I'm like, that's the worst rubber head I've seen in this whole movie. Which is weird 'cause all the other effects are so good.
I love his
So
death.
good.
He's like, no, that's acid.
Acid.
And then he like looks at the camera. And he's like, see, it's gonna kill me because it's.
You know what's funny
Mm.
is like, he didn't need to say that. They didn't need to show the fluid saying acid, and it didn't. But I mean, like, they felt like they really got to send this home. And it was another thing. It was ADR, right? Like, I don't know if everybody's gonna know. That's probably what they're doing with editing. They're like, no one's gonna know this is acid. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Damn,
It's
whatever
some
the
kind of thing
dude's
that's
gonna
gonna.
then kills them.
Yeah, you're gonna
It's
know
like-
what it is when it
You
gets.
could put it together.
poured
We're not
on
this
him.
dumb. We're not that dumb of an audience. But anyways, I thought it looked like absolute dog shit.
I was wondering why
Terrible.
those two little like horns popped up in the middle of his
Makes no
forehead, and
sense. So
it's
anyway,
probably
so they
just
kill
the
him.
rubber head.
I think
Getting
yeah,
fucked
it
up.
looked like they were like boiling the rubber or something.
Yeah.
'Cause like there's like a part where like his cheek kind of like expands, like it's like being heated or something. It was really weird.
I think they were running out of money. I think it's like they got to the cantina scene in Star Wars and they ran out of money, and so like just put a fucking wolf in there, put
Yeah.
a wolf man, put a bat guy, put a drag, whatever you got,
Put a little
laying around the
devil-
shelf.
little Satan
Put him in
guy.
They
this
literally
fucking
did.
cantina.
They, if I remember correctly, they literally did just like put a bunch of costumes
It's
in there.
exactly what it was.
And then there was
Whatever
some
the
other
fuck they
there,
had. No.
like much later when Star Wars was like, hot shit and whatever, there was a guy whose job it was to look at all the extras and give them backstories and explain what race they were. And so that's how you end up with like the guy that was in just a devil costume. He's a Deveronian.
Yes,
It's
and
canonical now.
Then
That is so
Clancy
stupid.
Brown plays a Devilronian in the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
exactly.
right. A
Mhm.
devil loaf. What is it?
Yeah.
Say it again.
A Deveronian.
Deveronian. Excuse me, I said it wrong.
Deveronian.
Ugh.
And then,
Yeah.
all that stupid.
Oh,
Well, I also-
Deveronian.
Okay, so
Deveronian.
Wolf guy is a Bothan. Bothans are like
Is that what the
dog
Bothans
people.
are? Oh, and the Bothans were incredibly important though
Yeah. What
And
about the
second
baby
Woman he
bat?
bought from Spies
What
died
about the baby
to
bat going peep 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 peep, and he's handing us
Dude.
some blood or whatever he's saying.
Give us this information.
But
That
anyways,
guy actually serial killer, believe it or not.
who?
Beep 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 beep.
is he
That
really?
guy's a serial killer?
I was kidding.
Oh well, you're the one. You're the authority on this, Ben.
Yeah.
Can't
I
make
thought
jokes.
that was so
Don't
absurd.
hit me
that
with a
you guys were-
Deveronian and go straight into. I'm gonna believe you.
Yeah, I will believe you.
Yeah, he's actually got his own spin-off called Dexter.
It's coming back, by the way.
Oh.
That's right.
Why?
Let's talk about the movie and then we can touch on
Yeah.
Dexter coming back.
So, anyways, they kill the doctor, and then he shows up later, and Dan talks to him, and then that's when Dan's like, "Hey, is there such thing as Dan, the sheriff man? Is there such thing as reanimating bodies and stuff like that?"
Dan, the sheriff man.
Tells him, "Oh, you're just crazy, man, and nothing's fine." Yeah. And then that's when, oh yeah, and he'd asked Polly. Polly does the printing. The chick working his secretary working at the police office.
Betty, right?
Betty.
Betty.
Yeah. To do a background check on Dobbs, who
Right.
the main old pathologist dude or whatever he is, mortician dude.
Mortician.
And then it comes back, and that's when she comes out and said, "Hey, I got that. The telex is coming back from Rhode Island or whatever." And it turns out he was, disbarred from being a doctor, and he was thrown out of fucking whatever. And so he's got a history. He's got some crazy
Got a
history before he
history.
came to Potter's Bluff.
But
which was
also,
1970.
there's also the scene. I actually really enjoyed this scene where the sheriff asks Dobbs if like he thinks that bodies could be reanimated too. He just the same way that he asked the doctor, but it was earlier. And Dobbs is like, "Well, as a mortician, it's something I'd rather not think about." And I was like, man, what a great little like line to make you think that maybe Dobbs isn't. He's like, it's a very unpleasant thought to think that bodies could come back to life. And I was like, yeah, man, Dobbs is on the up and up, buddy. Like he's coming here to report that the body's been stolen, and he's
Right.
talking
That
about how
kind
kinda
of threw you off the scent.
Again, like I said, if you think about it, it's all movie stuff to reveal to Dan what's really going on with him, and then
Right.
us. You know what I mean? But like again, could have done this in 4 minutes, which I feel is the fatal flaw of the film, of all films like this. Where I like it, like I like how they do it. I like how they dole it out in pieces. I like how it's mystery, but at the end of the day, what is the purpose of doing it this way, except not to tell an interesting narrative and kill a nice hour and?
It's.
40
I mean,
minutes?
you know,
I'm not mad at it. I just always think it's funny in movies when they do this,
Right.
where they're doing it clearly for the purpose of the story,
right?
and not. But then you wouldn't have a movie, so it's not really a complaint. It's just an interesting observation.
Well, what it is, it's an hour and a half long Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I said when I finished the movie. I was like, man, this feels like a really dark Twilight episode or Twilight Zone episode. Yeah.
And
It's got the double twist. So
after when does Dan see the film?
He sees the
The
film
very end.
after
Towards the
he
very
talks
end.
to the doctor.
Yeah.
After he talks to the doctor, he
shoots
goes.
his wife.
Well, no, he sees the film after he talks to the doctor. Then he goes inside of because he sees the doctor at the place where he's getting the film. He goes and gets the film, and for whatever reason, like this is the part where it starts to lose me, because he gets the film, and everybody in the town at this point has been turned into a zombie. And so I was like, why are they giving him the film? Like, if I was like trying to keep this secret, I would not give him the film. Obviously, the reveal at the end like explains it, but then he goes home, pours himself a nice glass of wine, watches the film, and like it's like two people fucking in a house,
Right.
and it's like he's like, oh man, two people are fucking. I love that he's like terrified. He's like,
I would have been all.
While these people are
Kids made
fucking.
this, because remember the kids from school supposedly made this film, and I'd be like, "Kids made this shit." What the?
Yeah, he's like, oh my god,
Would have been my reaction.
oh my god, coitus
Yeah.
out of wedlock. You know, it's like.
okay, Trailer Park Pastor Ben.
And,
It was so absurd, and then and then like it's his wife. And
yeah, the
she's,
reveals that it's his
yeah,
wife who was killing
and she's
whoever.
stabbing the guy, and he's like, oh, and then he runs out of his house, and he runs.
And it's the same thing.
directly-
You see all the townspeople coming out of the woodwork, coming out of the curtain, and
Right,
shit like
yeah.
that, to see this go down. We have no idea how old this film is when it happened.
Yeah,
things
and
like
dude,
that.
those townspeople show up out of fucking nowhere.
Every
like,
time.
in a blink of an eye.
Every
There's
time.
there's
Every
either
murder,
0
they
or
are
a
just
million of
there.
them. It's incredible. Like when they're following the family into the house, and they're filling the
All of a
hallways,
sudden,
and it's like
every
a
single
like a
room,
college
there's
party.
Like
Like when they-
these motherfuckers.
It's like when they
Crazy.
murder Nose Girl. So you're trying to tell me the whole entire town was hiding out at this dude's boat just in case he picked up a fucking hitchhiker?
Mhm.
So I
I mean-
actually,
That's some crazy
Be-
chances.
because it's magic that's like reanimating, I assumed that there was like, I think my headcanon is that when you take the picture, it summons all the townspeople, like they like teleport.
Because
there.
it's voodoo.
For whatever fucking reason. Because every single time there's nobody, and then it's like, say cheese.
I
and
think
then
it's
there's
just
like
movie stuff.
5,000 people.
Yeah, it's just movie
That's
stuff.
well, that's an interesting point.
Well,
Because even
headcanon.
the very first kill, they're on this wide open beach.
There's
there's
not
nobody
a,
around.
Where,
lot of
you know,
places to hide.
you would see them in the background. You know, it's hard to walk on sand, right?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like,
Especially if you're dead.
I'm coming with with the
Yeah, if
crowbar. in
30
his hand.
people were showing up with crowbars to kill you, you'd be like, what are those guys
You'd see
doing?"
them.
Yeah.
You'd see them coming.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
So-
whoa, I'm about to have sex with this girl on the beach. Okay, hold
Yeah.
on.
Well, and she even checks to see if the coast is clear.
hmm
Don't forget, she's like,
Clearly, the
So
coast
they're
is not clear.
magically.
Yeah.
Hey, that's where it comes from. This movie, the coast is clear because they were on the coast. It was clear. Anyways, so
Don't think that's how
watches
they
the
called
movie.
Ugh.
Watches. You don't think the coast is clear came from 1981? Dead and Buried? Are you sure?
I don't know where it came from, so you could be right.
you know,
Probably
Daryl, you're very close. Well, the
We
coast
heard-
is clear came from fucking, come on. It came from
No, I
looking
think we
at-
heard this
see if
before
there was
81.
boats coming to invade your, like, the Germans would have said the coast is clear before D-Day, right? Like,
Nope.
This- this-
Dead and buried.
Coasting is clearing.
you're wrong.
Wrong.
Nope, didn't happen until 1981.
Yep.
Anyways, so sees the film, sees that it's his wife, sees the townspeople, freaks out, runs to Dobbs, I think, at that point.
yeah, he goes straight to
Um,
Dobbs.
Straight to Dobbs. And that's when he comes in with he comes in with his gun drawn. He's like, what'd you do with her? And stuff like that. Where's my wife?
What'd you
And
do to her? Where's my wife?
that's when Dobbs starts to reveal that he's the master of coin. No, that he's basically the zombie master of the town.
Right.
And he's been zombifying people. And one thing that I think this movie did smart is they went the Frankenstein route of not explaining the process. I think
Yeah.
that's super important.
Call it
Like
magic.
he's all,
Call
I'm-
it science.
So
I like
medical,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
medical breakthrough. I'll take this to my grave. And I'm like, God, that was brilliant.
And I like
That's
how
how
they
you
I
don't-
like how they mentioned it in the actual like movie itself, and they call it out, and he's like, I'm not gonna tell you. It's a good way to, like, as a writer, he's like, I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to explain this.
Yeah.
And also find time in a movie to explain this. Just don't.
And if you think
explanation
about
would've
it, it's
sucked.
actually super
Yeah.
logical. Like, yeah, why would the guy waste a bunch of time telling? It's not like you're gonna understand it anyway.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
Why would I tell you this shit? You're not
Well, we
gonna
get
get it
An
anyway.
entire
Dragon
episode
Ball
of
Z.
talking. God,
It's not.
Dragon
It's
Ball
not
Z
One
is
Punch
driving
Man.
me-
I don't know what I'm talking about. I was going to say an anime.
Dude, Dragon Ball Z used to actually make me mad as a child, like 7 years old, and I'm like, this entire episode they've just been floating in midair and talking to each other. It's just an exposition dub, and now I have to wait for the next week to watch them fight each other. Are you fucking kidding me? No.
You don't fight in Dragon Ball Z, dude. You talk to each
Apparently.
other angrily, and then
While you're floating with the background going 100 miles an hour
whoever's
behind you.
stronger in Dragon Ball Z wins the fight in a matter of seconds. It's the talking that really pulls you in.
Oh, is it?
That's why I always hated debate class.
Debate class.
So, anyways, he
But,
explains to him
yeah.
that he's been zombifying people. Explains that he found his wife.
was the first.
She's a work of art. The other ones were drawing. She's a painting, and says it takes her weeks to start to rot or whatever before he has to repair or whatever like that.
By the way,
And-
drawing and painting. Just gonna say this.
Ooh, whoa.
Dramatic
Uh-oh.
lighting,
dude.
My gosh, artistic choice there.
Drawing versus painting is like, those are two different mediums, right? Like there could be a bad painting and a good painting.
I think you're overanalyzing
And there
this
could
part.
be a bad drawing and a good drawing. Like I just want to say that Dobbs doesn't have a very strong understanding of the arts.
Yeah, he's
All he
literally
knows-
reanimating
listen.
dead people. What the fuck?
All he knows
You
is
know-
how to lay in a bed for 20 years until someone gets a fucking golden ticket. That always made me so mad. I was always so pissed. Like, you fucker, 20 fucking years. The mom is slaving away, right, to take
Oh,
care of all these
man.
old fucks, and stupid ass Charlie's out hustling, right? You know what I mean? And then a golden ticket is like, I got a golden ticket, and all of a sudden he's putting clothes on and he's dancing around. I'd be like,
Yeah.
fuck you, old man. You ain't going with me to the factory.
Yeah.
You didn't want this whole time?
Daryl, did you know that there's a whole subreddit dedicated to Grandpa Joe hate?
Oh, really? Yeah,
No.
I've always
there's
hated
a whole
Grandpa
Get
Joe.
on
subreddit
that.
called Grandpa Joe Hate, and it's
Grandpa Joe-
all
I have
about that exact specific thing.
I'm gonna have to look it up because I hate too. He almost gets Charlie killed later when let's drink the old bobble up or whatever, and they drink. the
Right.
soda. Charlie would have never drank that shit without that rotten Uncle Joe leading him astray and sending him up into that goddamn fan. Now I'm really pissed off at Uncle.
Or Uncle,
Grandpa
is it
Joe.
Uncle Joe or Grandpa?
It's,
Either
no, it's
way.
Grandpa Joe. But anyways,
Okay.
he's someone's in-law. But
He's a motherfucker.
yeah. Anyways,
And there's a whole subreddit dedicated to it.
I'll have to look it
And
up.
he doesn't know shit about art.
And he doesn't know shit about art. They
Well,
were
that's the thing is, like-
drawings. This is a painting. Some
Yeah.
drawings take longer to make than paintings. That's all I'm saying. All I'm
That's
saying.
When he looks him up on the teletype and was in Rhode Island over for 20, before he came to Potter's Bluff back in 1970 or whatever. And I'm just like, I know what the fuck he was doing in Rhode Island. He was in that stupid bed. Like goddamn.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
his nephew or grandson or whatever got, the Willy Wonka fortune, and he understandably was kicked out of the fucking house for being a fucking
Yeah.
The next logical
Anyways, he
step is to
reveals-
reanimate dead people.
Yeah, he reveals that somehow he's been doing magic on the townsfolk, and that because he's an artist, even though Ben thinks he's not. This is why, because I was sitting there wondering too, because I couldn't remember when I was a kid. I was like, why is everybody? Couldn't you just inject him and kill him? Why are they being smashed? It's because he wanted a challenge. He wanted to make them back to their normal form. Like, okay, so they kind of explained that. That makes sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
catch that. Okay.
Yeah. So, because I was wondering thing too, I'm like, there's an easier way to kill. There's a cleaner way to kill people. You know what I mean? So it's not so much work to bring him back to life, but that's his deal.
His
is
whole
reworking
shtick is that he
Right.
wants to make
wants a
them
challenge
pretty
and-
again.
yeah.
and
Better than how he even says they're better than they were before, whatever like that. So then his wife
it'd be
shows
a
up.
shame to bury them, he says.
His Stepford wife shows up, and what
Right.
do you want for dinner, Dan? Blah blah blah. You can make it, or I can heat up a fucking leg lamb or whatever. And then he starts shooting her.
I love that.
His, you know what? His acting was not too bad actually. I thought
At
Well,
that
I-
point. At that
I
point.
thought
at that
I thought he was
point,
good. I thought he
I
was
think
good.
He was
throughout the
fine.
movie, I like that he is slowly losing his shit throughout the movie. He never but the way they do it, it's gradual. Where by the time we get to that point in the movie,
Yeah.
when he pulls out his gun and he's just waving it around, he's going to shoot Dobbs, he's going to shoot her. It's like it actually makes sense. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel like it's coming out of left
he's
field.
been losing his shit this whole time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because of the increasingly crazy shit that's been happening. That's
Yeah.
can't be explained. It doesn't make any sense. So, but he shoots her, and then it seems to like jog her memory some. And even Dobbs says it, but it doesn't explain it. And it's probably best this way too. Is like she doesn't know anything. She doesn't have any memories. Only what I give them. I don't know how he does that through suggestion order, but it doesn't matter. But it seems to like jog her memory. She seems to remember that she was alive at one time and now wants to be buried. So she runs away. And she goes and gets in the George Des Moines grave that had been dug up earlier. Oh, I forgot about
Right.
that part. So when Dan goes to go and has the George Des Moines guy, who was the guy who was killed at the beginning, has been buried in the town cemetery. He has the guy, the gravedigger, dig it up. And remember,
Right.
they pull the coffin out. And it's super
And
light,
it's
and he opens up.
And it's
yeah.
just a
that
beating
was cool.
heart.
And it's a
in
beating
there.
heart in there, and it's George's
right.
heart, because they explained. I forgot about that earlier when they're in the school and she's explaining the witchcraft, zombies and stuff. She's talking about it, and that's how the zombie master controls the zombies, is by hiding their heart.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why. And so that's what's telling you is like, okay, there's some kind of voodoo zombie shit going on, But anyway, so he buries her, and then the whole town shows up, and now all their faces are falling apart. This is where the big reveal is that they're all zombies.
Everybody in the town.
But he'd helped bury her, and every little town, they're putting flowers in the grave. So he runs back to Dobbs. Oh, and he'd shot Dobbs before he left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
Go
Dobbs is
bury
like
Dobbs.
bleeding out, sort of, on the ground.
And they shows him putting needles, and he's embalming himself. Where the hell's going on? He's putting makeup on. He looks really pretty, by the way.
Hmm.
And then he
painting,
comes
you might
back.
say.
Yeah, and then he's standing there. Dobbs is standing there, and he's now zombified or whatever hell's going on. And then that's when he says, "And there's one more thing you need to know," and he points to the screen, and that's where he sees that the body that his wife had been stabbing is him. Rolls over,
Right.
and it's him, and now he knows he's dead. And that's when he
Yeah.
puts his fist in his eyes and he pulls his hands away.
Yeah.
That looked pretty good.
It did. That looks really
that
good.
looks good. And he's
Mhm.
like, and his thumb's all fucked up. And,
Yeah. And then the movie ends.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when I saw this as
Well,
a
he
kid,
says,
I
"Do you
still think
want
it's
me to? What does he
oh,
say?
let me fix that for you. Yeah.
Let me fix
Mhm.
that for you. And he says it with no, like, this is one of those things that's like terrible for the ending of a movie, but like it works for the character. He has no sense of urgency
Yeah.
whatsoever. It's like we all, as the audience, have just learned this like insanity thing that like, oh my God, the main character's been dead the whole time. It's like the Sixth Sense and like all this shit.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, let me fix that for you. Roll credits. I was like,
That's how you
all
end
right.
it.
Yeah. All right.
It's
there we
done.
go.
Story's told.
That's it.
Get out of
Yeah.
there.
And again, like I said, the whole movie is to give us clues and set this whole up to tell. And like, and then you're sitting there. Like I said, when I was a kid, and even years ago when I watched this, I never questioned that stuff. And this is just a minor complaint now. But like I said, the whole movie is unnecessary. Why does everybody else in the town know that they're zombies, but not Dan? Why reveal it to him this way, except to have a movie? There's no
Yeah.
reason for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it still makes. I still think it's a good movie. I think it holds up. I think some of the effects are terrible.
Yeah.
Hold up, but the other effects are some of the best, probably from the '80s. It's Stan Winston actually.
Well, so
But the original, the first Burn guy. Sorry.
the
sorry, go ahead.
the article that I was reading, I found out about what's his name, Uncle Joe, Grandpa Joe.
Yeah.
That same article, they said that I guess the reason that there's that weird disparity is because Stan Winston he had to like leave the project at some point earlier
really?
or whatever. So that the shitty ones are not actually Stan Winston. They're like some other guy that they had to hire.
Huh. That makes
you
sense.
can look
because
you
they're
can look
so
it up and correct me if I'm wrong, but
different.
that's why there's that weird disparity, is because there's some really stellar ones from Stan Winston,
Wow.
and then at some point he had to leave the project or something like that, and
Huh.
so all the shitty ones are from someone else,
interesting.
and they're trying to mimic Stan Winston's style.
That
Which is
makes
never
sense.
gonna
'Cause,
never gonna work.
like I said, the first death is amazing. The
The rock
the-
smash.
the rock smash, and then when she's laying and they show that shot of her laying, it looks incredible.
Yeah,
Looks like a smashed real person. I mean, they're really good at special effects.
and I think they specifically pointed out the dummy head, the rubber head, as not being. That was
Oh,
like
really?
one of the that
Oh,
was
I'm
one
gonna
of the ones where they're trying to do like an imitation of Stan Winston.
Ah.
I'll have to
it's
look
some-
this
but
up
it's
because
some other
it was
person.
terrible. It was
Yeah, that sucked.
big disparity actually. Yeah, because the rest of the special effects are really incredible, especially like I said for a movie with a budget this low. I think it was like $4 million or $2 million or something. It's really low budget.
Yeah.
But anyways, I like I said, I so even watching it now, some things didn't hold up obviously, but I still think it's a really good movie. Even the problem I have with it, like it shouldn't exist. Dan should already know that he's a zombie.
Right. If
Especially,
if
and also,
you know,
why make Dan Zombie the way that Dan Zombie is? Why is he questioning everything and trying to figure out the mystery to the town?
Yeah, clearly
yeah.
everybody else they
sense.
turn into zombies. It's like no problem, you know.
Yeah, and they already
Yeah.
get it. They get it. They understand. It would. I think that would have been better if they kind of did the thing where like Dobbs is like, "Oh, you were my best creation, and I wanted to keep
You're the
this
closest
terror from you," or
you're
something
the
like
closest
that.
to human that I have ever come, or something.
Yeah.
Something.
Instead of the wife being the
well,
painting.
clearly Dan is one of the best
Yeah.
creations because
He doesn't
he
even
has the
know.
most memory.
Mm.
He seems to be the most independent zombie.
But almost like if they'd done like you were my greatest, and you were also my first experience. Just explaining a little bit why he didn't know who he was,
Mhm.
and everyone
Give
else
it a
did.
couple lines.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just a
They were
couple lines and-
drawings, and she was a painting, and you were
Yeah.
a sculpture.
like
Yeah,
I was
there you go.
trying something different with you, and it just didn't work out. Something that
Yeah.
explained why Dan didn't know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
It would have
Time to
fixed all that,
drama
and it would have
Well,
made.
it's crazy. You could have
But-
made something about him just being really sadistic.
Yeah, exactly.
And he
So-
does say, you know what's funny? I'm just thinking about it. He does say, I do so enjoy these little chess matches that we have.
Yeah,
Ah,
So I wonder
maybe
if it's because
that's-
he enjoys the game.
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
done it multiple times. Maybe he's made Dan forget his memory multiple times.
It could be, and
Yeah.
it would just have been made a little more sense for what happens in the movie. But I mean, did you guys notice it, or was it just me, or
What the flaw?
the flaw?
Oh, absolutely.
film. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As soon as I knew what the twist was, I was like, oh, this didn't need to happen.
Yeah, like, this is a lot of work.
Well,
just to tell him he's
the
a
first
zombie.
thing I asked myself is, none of the other zombies mention this or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to him.
No one
like
slips
he's,
up.
apparently he's been interacting with other zombies this whole movie, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, he's it just turns out that that Dobbs is Ozymandias from the new Watchmen series.
I haven't seen the new one.
Oh, you haven't seen the new one? Oh, there's like
I
a
watched
whole,
I watched half of the first episode and I called it quits.
there's a whole subplot with Ozymandias being an old dude. He's been sent to paradise by the Martian, not the Martian Manhunter, the blue guy.
Oh, Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan. He's been sent to paradise, and paradise for Ozymandias is living in a mansion in space somewhere with like an endless supply of male and female butlers that all look exactly the same. And so like he just goes crazy and like he kills them at his leisure because they just come out of vats and like makes more of them. And I felt
I was going to ask why you need an endless supply.
Because like if you're on your own and you've got like these like brainless subordinates, eventually you turn one of them into a detective and try to have them defeat you. I mean, it literally, that exact thing happens in the subplot for Watchmen. Ozymandias turns one of the butlers into like this, like not a detective, but like a masked horseman who's trying to stop him from, being abusive towards the other slaves.
That's it. Interesting.
Literally the same exact concept. If Dobbs uses Mr. Detective Boy or Mr. Sheriff Boy as like a proxy.
If that's the case, you don't really know.
You just get bored, man. You get bored in space.
Man, I hope I'm never that bored.
You get bored in Potter's Bluff.
Yeah, right.
Well, one thing I did like, I had a question too, is when I was watching the thing, I was like, why are all the townspeople killing all these outsiders? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I finally clicked at the end, because I was asking myself that like every death. And finally at the end, I was like, oh, they're already all dead. Yeah. So they don't have anyone else in the town to kill. And then, I was thinking like, well, what about Dan? And then Dan's already dead. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool how they're killing new people that come in so Dobbs can work on somebody.
It's how they, it's
all
how the
controlled by dogs.
Yeah,
right?
it's how the dead procreate. They take pictures and they...
Gross. I don't want to think about
that. Is
the
a
dead
really
procreating.
Weird birds and bees conversation to have with your kids.
Well, it's a weird birds and bees thing. Is that
your
like
zombie
Dobbs like doesn't have any sort of like sexual desires. It's just this old creepy man that wants to make dead people. Like,
yeah.
Why?
He has them have sex with each other. I mean, Dan and his wife fucked.
Yeah.
Well, Dan fucked his dead wife who stabbed him.
He still got laid.
Right.
Still had sex.
Doesn't matter.
It counts.
It counts.
Can't say it doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Well, he put something in her and she put something in him.
There you go.
He died before he could notch his bedpost, but yeah, that counts. So.
Man.
So ratings, I still even with my flaw complaint with the movie and its couple of terrible special effects, I mean, I still give it an 8. I think it's a good movie. I think it's got I think it is a proper way to tell a story and deliver a mystery piece at a time. I think it does that very well. And I think generally speaking, the acting's pretty well. And the special effects that are good are hands down, in my opinion, some of the best ever. And especially to come out of the 80s, especially for a low budget film. Because dude, I watch a zillion low budget horror films, and that's usually the number one thing that's horrible in them is the special effects. And this, except for that doctor getting killed and a couple other things, the special effects in this are extremely realistic, terrifyingly so, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I'll give it a 6. I thought it was a lot better than a lot of horror movies that I've seen, like older horror movies, especially growing up being your son. Watch a lot of horror movies. This felt very similar to the 1976 or 8 Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Really?
What year was that?
77.
77. Okay, that was close. But yeah, it felt very similar because there's a lot of it's a very slow burn and there's a lot of clues to things.
You're right.
If you just watch the scene, like don't pay attention to the dialogue or the characters or anything like that, but watch what's happening in the scene. There's a lot of giveaways. And so that's one thing I was thinking about too is, I mean, that version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I have never, ever to this day seen any kind of suspense build like that movie does.
It's the best.
Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The 77 version?
I've not
is
seen the 77 version.
on my list. I watch it at least once a year.
It's
I've read the
love
play.
that movie.
Very nice.
It's not the same thing.
It's very different. Well,
Don't
there's
know
a
your
couple of
plays
scenes
from your movies,
Yeah,
art.
don't you know your mediums?
I
Drawings
I-
and paintings guy.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
you're
it
not
with
an
my
artist.
eyes. I don't know what you want from me.
But there's a couple of scenes in that movie that really stand out to me. The first one is like very early on in the movie, one of the establishing shots of whatever, like a college or a library that they're in. It pans across the street, but the pan follows a dude who's clearly running from something, going across cars and stuff like that, like traffic, trying to get out of the city. And there's a scream in the background, and then it just like pans up to the public library, and then it cuts to the inside, and there's no like explanation as to
That's
what that
right,
scream
yeah.
was,
It's,
or what the guy's running from, or to, or
It's the
he's
health
obviously in a
department
hurry.
at the building or whatever. They work at
Health
the health
department.
department.
Okay. Is he still looking for Kepes?
Yeah, this there's a
Rat
part
turd.
two, then past that where they're walking through the hallway and he's talking about the capers and stuff like that. And it's a rat turd though that he finds at the restaurant, and behind this piece of glass that's frosted or something is just a silhouette of a guy standing there. There's no,
Yep.
it makes no mention of it. It's just in the background as we're walking with them through the hallway, and it's little things
Yep.
like that throughout the whole movie that slowly amp up the suspense, and it's brilliant. There's a part later though too where I think it's after she gets this flower she finds inspected or whatever, tested or whatever. But it's a slow, it's a wide shot that slowly goes down the hallway towards this guy polishing the floor, and he's in silhouette. And it's him just back and forth polishing the floor, and it slowly dollies in on him. And it's just shots like that throughout the whole movie that just slowly amp up the suspense. And you're sitting there like, what the fuck does this even mean? In fact, Robert Duvall's in it in the beginning. He plays a priest on a swing.
On a
That's
swing.
the only part in the movie. He's just on a swing going back and forth. And this teacher is walking around with these kids, having her collect these flowers that are these
Aliens.
space pods, basically.
Mm.
And she just looks over strangely at Robert Duvall swinging on the swing. And then it's his POV on the swing, swinging back and forth. And then that's it. It means nothing. And it's just to slowly amp up the suspense with all these little weird vignettes. It's a brilliant film.
Yeah.
We should watch both the 50s and the 70s version and compare.
The 50s. Okay, because
Yeah,
wasn't there a
both
new one
50s.
that came out?
There is a newer
Well,
one.
but those are shit. The
Yeah,
original
I remember
film that came
watching
out in
that
the
one. It was
50s
just-
is also a great film and has some really
I
shocking,
like that one.
incredible special
Mm.
effects on the bodies when they come out of the pods.
I actually saw that one on the big screen for one of those like retro movie nights,
Really?
like one-offs.
Hmm.
It was really cool.
For a 50s movie, so it's got a little bit of its cheese, but it's better than most that came out at that time. But it's a really well done. Same thing. Slowly here give you evidence here and there, little bits until they get for the big reveal. But the 50s version is great. I saw it a zillion times as a kid also. And then when I was old enough, I was allowed to watch the 70s version, and then I couldn't, then I had more nightmares because
The
it's
70s version scared me.
so good, dude.
I was kind of young when I
And the
saw
70s
that.
version has some iffy special effects in the beginning of the movie, but the rest of it way makes up for it. So
Yeah. Well, I think, like, again, I haven't seen suspense done like that, because like when you're watching these scenes of the guy behind the frosted glass or the dude just polishing the floor back and forth, obviously, that's not how you polish floor. There's like this weird sense of unease. Like there's not suspense or anything like that or like terror, but it's just, you're just uneasy and you
Right.
don't
it's
know
always
why,
putting you
because
off
you're
your
just,
game.
you're literally watching people do something relatively normal, but it's wrong, and you don't know why. You can't put your finger on it. And I think that's like a genius way to do suspense. It's like,
especially for a story that's at that point when that remake came out, everybody knew about the original. It's not like the original was a huge hit.
Right.
A
Right.
very well-known film, and we already knew what had happened in the original film. So to recreate that story 20-ish years later, whatever the hell it was, and then it's an example of how you do a remake, right? You really make it your own. And The Fly is another prime example. I'm not a fan of remakes, but I'm a fan of these remakes. Like the 77 version of Body Snatchers is a brilliant remake because it does its own thing with it. The remake of The Fly, and the original Fly is a great movie.
Yeah.
But the 86 version with Goldblum is just, they really took it to the next level. Same thing with The Thing. Original Thing.
yeah.
Well, the original Thing's not great.
No,
It's a cheesy 50s horror
I don't
movie.
think I
It's
finished
not
that
great.
one.
But the
Yeah.
new thing
Um,
is, or the second newest thing, the one in the 80s.
The 82,
82.
John Carpenter.
Very
Brilliant
good.
film. One of the best
Very
movies ever
good.
made. Yeah.
Well,
Even so, those special effects look incredible.
It's
special
the
effects
it's
look
Yeah,
really
they
good.
do.
gold standard.
And Alien, and I wanted to talk about this too before we ended. I wish that we would get away from the whole CGI safety net of everything.
Yeah.
And it really, really bothered me in the newer Marvels movies and especially when I went back and watched some of the older Marvel movies, but like all of the new movies, everything's CGI. Everybody's suit is CGI. And I mean, all the sets, of course, because you can't go to fucking the Titan moon, you know.
Right.
It's a little difficult to build a set like that, but like Spider-Man in the new movies, he's always CGI in dialogue scenes. Like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? He's just sitting there, standing there with a tracker suit on. And even in the scene, like in Avengers Endgame, when they're wearing the new like time travel suits and they're walking towards the time travel thing, that's all CGI.
Yep.
Those suits aren't real. They look like the CGI is incredible, but even when I was watching it in the theater, I was like, they don't move right, and I was like, oh, they're CGI. And then the scene switched, and I was like, yeah, those are definitely CGI. And then I watched a breakdown of it later. I'm like, yep, they were CGI because they didn't design the suits yet. It's like, are you kidding?
About
Are
that
you
too
kidding
is
me?
like, it's
Oh.
gotta be. It's probably more expensive to CGI those suits on than it is just to build the fucking things.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
Probably,
crazy.
yeah.
It's way more effective.
You know why? It's this is because of the Star Wars prequels. Did you know they never made a clone suit?
Oh yeah,
movies?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The
That-
Star
that
Wars-
really
the
bothered me.
Star
Never
Wars
made an
prequels-
actual physical clone.
Yeah,
all
well,
CG.
George Lucas, because of the studio, the CGI studio or the special effects studio that he founded, which I forget what it was called, Industrial Light and Magic. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he created that for the original films, then he used them in the prequels. He wanted to push the bar as much as he could, and that's why he pushed for green screens and CGI
Blue
characters
screens.
and all this stuff everywhere on the prequels, is because he wanted to push the technology forward, and as a result, he was somebody that pioneered the ability to replace very important practical effects with just CGI.
And not saying it doesn't have its place. I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm like, I think the proper way to do CGI is obviously when you have some organic creature that you need to create. That would be very tough to do with practical effects. But even still, like, I think it would still be better to create a man in a suit and then have him green blotches on him. That way they can add shit to him, like they did with The Walking Dead in Game of Thrones and stuff. They do this a lot where they just accentuate. And I think that's the biggest problem with CGI, right? Is like it should be used to accentuate. It's like Parasite is a prime example of a movie that properly used CGI. I know there's no creature effects in it or anything, but man, dude,
A lot of
you
CGI
have
in that
no,
movie, you would never know.
That entire
like
movie
it.
was shot like
That's-
out in the countryside in South Korea on a single-story house.
That's how
or
you
like
use
set.
CGI.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the flood scene, the amount of that was they were really in water and stuff like that, but the amount of the background there was CGI and stuff, but you don't know. I mean, that's how you do it, right? It doesn't,
Right.
because you're never questioning. But also, that's a good movie. And that's part of our problem too. Is right, movies aren't good anymore, so they rely completely on CGI. They don't care about story anymore. You know what I mean? We just watched that with Monkey versus Lizard and Ice Guy
Mortal
versus
Kombat.
Fire Guy.
There's a lot of verses happening.
It's all about the special effects. You know what I mean? It's nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest thing too is like I was watching, I'm watching all these Marvel movies come out now. And then I went back and I was talking about it, maybe not on the podcast, but I was watching Spider-Man 2 again. And the suit looks fucking awesome.
Talk about with Doc Ock.
Yeah, dude. Tobey Maguire.
I was gonna say because that suit is legit.
Yeah, it looks
It's a real
so
Spidey
cool
suit.
though. Like the
It's a
actual
real
like
suit.
physical Spidey suit looks so much cooler
You
than
can
any
see
of
the
the CG.
textures
Yeah,
on
like
the
it,
suit.
It
Yeah.
looks so much more tangible because it's real. It's there. It's on his body. And even like the Doc Ock arms look fucking awesome, dude. For 2004, I think is when that movie came out. I mean, there's the very Sam Raimi scene when they're about to operate on the arms to
So
get
good.
and it's like, okay, well, this is very Army of Dead, Army of
Yeah,
Darkness.
Like trying to
Yeah.
like use the
Sam
chainsaw
Raimi.
to saw the thing
Yeah.
up.
But all that's all puppeteering. Most of that is puppeteering. You know, there's a couple of CG bits when the wide shots of the arms whipping around and stuff like. But all the puppets of the arms, and then you combine it with these wide shots of the CG arms, like all that sells the practical effects, and that's what you need to use CG for, because it works. Like, I mean, Parasite is a prime example of well done CG because you don't see it. It doesn't matter how good the movie is, in my opinion, because I really liked like the Avengers Endgame and all that stuff, but even still, that CGI bothered me very, very much because
Yeah,
it's so out of place, which is weird to say, you know,
Right.
because
it's a
this is an
CG-filled
adventure
movie.
movie. It's a comic book movie, but it's so out of place because you have proved in the past that you don't need CG to make all these really cool effects. You can do it with the suit.
Well, I think
And
that's
one
what's-
thing I do hear is it's very very expensive to do good practical effects now. I like to make all the
Right.
costuming and
Because
stuff
nobody
like
does
that.
it
People
anymore.
who know how to
Exactly,
do it.
yeah.
Because the people who know how to
Fucking
do it are
fun.
charging a lot.
Yeah.
But I thought the
And they're also dying or dead.
that's
it's like
true.
the
There's a bunch of
dude-
old
the
guys.
I am afraid it's a dying art.
The
I-
dude
I
that did
really
the
am.
old
effects
guys
for
that know how to do
Moon
this stuff.
what is an old dude they pulled out of retirement or some shit to do the models and everything for Moon, because that was all practical.
Uh-huh.
All
yeah.
the special effects in Moon. And that's also why when you're watching Moon, it looks so fucking real, is because it is.
Mhm.
It's all miniatures, you know?
I mean,
Right.
that's Lord of the Rings too. Is like watching all the behind the scenes. All of that stuff was miniatures, dude. Like
Dude,
all
tons
the
of
Minas
forced
Tirith.
perspective.
Yeah.
Tons of forced perspective,
good, yeah.
tons of miniatures.
Have you guys seen that the behind the scenes of Gandalf and Frodo sitting at the table and Hobbiton
And they
and
had
Bag
two
End?
different tables.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen this, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, I have
it's
actually.
fucking insane. Where they're on a track and they're
Yeah.
moving with the camera, and these ends of the tables with all the props on them in different perspectives are moving alongside of each other, and they just like put tons of smoke in there to kind of hide the seams.
It was so
And
damn
even
clever.
watching the movie again after knowing that in theaters,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't tell. I cannot see. Of course, like, who's the guy that's gonna be like, you know what? You know how we're gonna do this? We're gonna do it like this. And then everyone's also be like, no, you're fucking insane.
Right.
That is an insane amount of work for one shot. But it sells the world because Frodo's also
Absolutely.
walking around. He's walking
all
around the
real.
set. So it's you
Yeah.
kind of have to
Yeah.
do something like that to really
that's-
if you're gonna sell it. So
And that movie had a lot of CG, of course, but
yeah. But then go back and
most
watch
of it
The
was
Hobbit.
practical.
Yeah, watch The Hobbit, and you
It's
can
like
see
shit, yeah.
that they comped in Gandalf into all those shots, and you can see that his shadow doesn't really make sense. It's Gandalf, and then against the wall, it's just like the same Gandalf, but he's a silhouette, and it's a little bit gray, And it's like they didn't even do any real shadow work to it, so it really stands out, which sucks because like all that stuff exists still.
Right.
And
What
you're
you
gonna
were
go
saying
another
about the
CG
Marvel
route.
movies is really true, because if you go back and watch the earlier ones, it's funny how much more real all the suits look.
Yeah.
Even Iron Man,
Like,
dude, and
well,
Iron
the
Man was
first
almost all
Iron
CG.
Man has
It's
the
almost all
most
CG.
realistic
the original
looking
Iron
suits.
Man they've never made a full Iron Man suit.
Yeah, but even still, like all those bits and pieces, and then the CGI, like
But it's like,
filling in the
it's like what
gaps looks
Daryl was
incredible.
saying. There is a combination. They're using CGI to accentuate stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think the original Iron Man looks the best out of all of them because
it really does.
It has most of its
I
real
think so.
stuff, and
Yeah.
it makes a fucking difference. That's back
Yeah.
when they were CGIing just everything. They were still doing a mixture, and that's how it's done. That's the biggest problem. Again, like I said, you just need a mixture of it. Now, some stuff,
Mhm.
obviously, like at the end of Indiana Jones 4, when that spaceship comes out of the ground,
we don't
that
speak of
can't
that.
be. That's hard to recreate. But even still, back in the end,
They
that would
made
have
an
been
Indiana
models.
Jones movie where there's a spaceship.
What? Now you're gonna tell me there's a crystal skull in it, aren't you?
Oh my
And a crystal
goodness.
skull. And there's a ground
some,
squirrel at the beginning
There's some
that shakes
Shia
their over the head and
LaBeouf
goes,
asshole in this movie too.
Jesus. No,
And
there's
then-
no way Shia LaBeouf is in an Indiana Jones
Yeah,
movie.
and then Indiana Jones goes, "You're mixing your wubbies with your wubbies," or whatever he says.
What?
Really stupid. I hated it so much.
Well,
Anyways.
speaking of hating things, I actually really enjoyed this movie.
Oh, good. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh shit! I forgot we didn't do your guys'
Yeah, yeah.
ratings.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
ratings.
Daniel was 6, I was 8. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah.
I'll give this a
We'll just cut all that out.
I'll give this a 6.5 maybe, or a strong 6, I'd like to say. It was a good movie. It did not hold my attention, but I think it was well done, which is like a weird kind of, I don't know.
It's like a weird juxtaposition.
It's a weird
there.
juxtaposition. I thought the parts of it that held my attention were very good. I don't think that there wasn't really like strong seams in the movie where I was like, ugh, this is stupid. I think it's just more that like no matter what way you look at it, this is a hardcore 80s horror film. And even though it does it very well, it does the hardcore 80s horror film things. And like, fuck, man, we've all seen them so many times. There's nothing unique about the movie other than the fact that it's like a pretty good story. And so for that, strong 6. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit better for me in terms of entertainment value than Mortal Kombat was. I respect it a lot more than Mortal Kombat.
That's good.
But,
Yeah, that's for sure.
I am not any more likely to watch this again than I would be to watch Mortal Kombat. So I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Sorry, let me amend my score really quick. It's a nostalgic 8.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, it being more of a 6 as far as a whole movie goes. But yeah, I have a lot for me is nostalgia and the fact that it scared the living dog shit out of me when I was a child. So
Yeah.
It's your event horizon. I think I mentioned that before, right?
Yeah, this one is one of my many event horizons. I have many movies that scared the living dog shit out of me. The Changeling being one of them.
Yeah. Top tier.
Accidental watches. Hey, let's let the kids watch some terrifying shit, so they don't sleep for 40 years. But go ahead, Jeremy. What was
I pretty much echo what Ben said. I think it's a 6.5 for me. This is exactly what I wanted this movie to be. I wanted it to be something with good practical effects that had the right amount of 80s-ness to it. I was hoping for like some good 80s weird dialogue that doesn't really make any sense.
You got it.
And I got it. So, I can't complain. This was exactly what I was thinking it was going to be, and I got exactly what I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
The effects were really fun to watch. They were really good. And the scenes were actually, a lot of the kills were like legit disturbed. They were legitimately disturbing.
Yeah, they were fucked up.
Yeah, they were good kills.
By any standard, like by any movie standard, I was disturbed. That's a horror movie, right? So
I like how the zombies must get together and go, well, the last guy we slit his throat, what are we gonna do with the girl? Oh, we can smash her with a rock. Get an idea. Go get a rock. We'll get the girl. It's kind of funny. Like
the greater good.
And like the first guy got the worst.
Right.
Oh man, the
First
first guy
really
did.
Let's set him on
Horrible
fire
guy.
and put him in a car wreck. Yeah.
Oh, we
And then
forgot
he
about the
didn't even
part.
die.
We forgot about the part. Yeah, he doesn't die. Ends up in the hospital. He's in a
Oh, and he gets-
body count.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
she stabs him in the
And then
fucking
she
brain.
shows up and puts a needle in his one good fucking eye.
Yeah.
Would that kill you? I don't think that would kill you
The needle
immediately.
was this long.
I don't know,
would
man.
I mean,
Probably not right
I've
away.
never,
A
I've
needle
never
would
had
kill
a
you right
needle
away.
Or something.
I've
Yeah,
never had a needle in my brain, but I bet it would kill me.
yeah.
I don't. Your brain can survive. Your brain can survive getting shot if you get shot in the right spot in the
Yeah,
brain.
yeah.
So you could probably
Sure.
take a thin needle through your brain
It
and
probably would
be
kill him, yeah.
relatively okay.
But
But
know
maybe
what's
this is
funny?
Needle that
Is
broke the
this-
camel's back. He was already pretty fucked up.
You're right. That's
That
true.
was all
Oh.
practical. That there was no guy in any of that. If you look really closely
Yeah.
at the skin, it was kind of clammy, a little bit pasty.
And you
It
can
was
see
definitely
these-
all a puppet.
You can see these mechanical eyelids close on it when
Yeah.
it goes.
Oh,
Yeah, really quick. They cut away, but yeah, you can see
But
that.
you know
Yeah.
what's funny? I would have to look it up, but I really think that a lot of Hot Fuzz is based off this movie
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
because
Yeah.
I was thinking that when I was
Um,
watching Hot Fuzz the first time, like, man, this seems awful familiar.
yeah, and like of course the big reveal about the town people is the main thing, but also just the fact that the story revolves around the point of view of the sheriff. That's
Yeah.
completely Hot Fuzz too.
Okay.
right.
And the fact that the sheriff is slowly going crazy throughout the entire movie, right? Like, is his that's the other character. The other character's name is Danny. It's Nick Frost's character's name is Danny in this,
Yeah.
Daniel. But it's the same thing. The same phenomenon is happening with Sergeant Nicholas Angel in Hot Fuzz, where
right.
he is slowly going like, what the fuck is going on with this town? No one wants to admit that there's murders happening, and everyone thinks that I'm crazy. and he's slowly losing his shit. And then there's the big reveal. So now, like, the more I think about it, the more I realize, like, man, Hot Fuzz is like
Very
It's based on this
inspired
movie.
by
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
I
probably
mean, I
is.
wouldn't be surprised.
Interesting.
Because this movie just recently came on Amazon, you know, so it wasn't in, because I've looked for it over the years, and you know, it was forever until it got a DVD release, you know, because it was so obscure.
Mhm.
And it was definitely a came and went movie. I'm sure, I don't have to look up and see what the box office was. I'm sure it was nothing. I'm sure nobody went and saw it. Like I said, it was a book first, because I remember my dad reading the book and that picture on the front of the face breaking out of the ground like that
Yeah.
and being blue. I remember seeing that as a kid going, well, that's terrifying. And then the movie came out and he got it. And then he's like, oh, I read this book. This will probably be good. Oh my God, dude. I'm telling you, like, that opening shot where the guy gets set on fire and then later he screams in the van. I mean, haunted me to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
I
I
can't
don't
imagine
blame you,
being that
9 or
young
10
and
years
watching
old
I
and
this.
seeing that?
remember I literally started praying to God every night before bed when I watched Event Horizon.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah, that's another crazy one.
I didn't grow up in a religious family. I would lay in bed and I'd be like, God, if you can hear me, protect me and my family from the spooky ghosts from Event Horizon.
Dude, I'd
you
never
could-
ever wanted to go into the what do they call it? What was
Lewis
the
and Clark.
no the when they go through the portal?
Oh, the
Oh,
They're in
Chaos
this-
dimension?
The
Oh,
chaos
yeah.
dimension, dude.
dude.
Fucked me up when I saw that. When the guy's
Yeah.
pulling his eyes out of his head. Oh my
Yeah.
God! And then
I-
there's one
I
of the
love that
scenes that she
movie.
gets her hand.
I mean, I
shoved
watched
down
that
her
movie
throat.
recently
Oh,
and I
God.
don't know what the fuck I was afraid of because it's such a goofy movie.
No,
But-
it's, I
That-
still
that
get-
scene
I love
holds
it.
up,
There's
dude.
tons of blood. Like, just straight up, there's a lot of blood and gore.
I think
like,
it's still
you
a
know.
really good movie.
Yeah.
I really like the movie, but it's definitely campier than I remember.
Oh
it
yeah,
being
it's very campy.
as,
but
you know, as a
It's
freaking
funny what disturbs you as a
8-year-old.
kid,
Yeah.
though, because it, like, I can't imagine being that young and watching this movie. I remember being around that age and seeing, like, and this is way less intense, but seeing Interview with a Vampire and all those scenes where he's like slaughtering the other vampires and setting them on fire and like chopping their heads off with the scythe.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more like, you know, it's a lot less intimate. It's not like someone getting set on fire and a bunch of people. I guess it's different kinds of, you know,
Plus they're
disturbing.
vampires. Kill a
But-
vampire. You're like, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's okay.
I would
Whatever.
think
I'm
that's
not a
actually
vampire.
less disturbing in that than
that's
this,
pretty
this movie.
suspicious,
You know what
man.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was still like, that got me for a long time.
Really?
I think everybody has the. I know somebody who watched Harry Potter when they were too young. The first Harry Potter, and the trolls scared the living shit out of them.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you're like 5 years old, you see
Yeah.
a cave troll with a big old club, and you're like, ah! You know, it's just like
Or
kid- yeah.
some teacher with a face on the back of his head under his turban. I mean, that's gotta be
Yeah.
fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either way,
Yeah, I
it's,
wouldn't like
you
that.
know, it's either gonna terrify you or turn into a weird fetish. You know, it's like,
Can do both.
Well, we all know what happened to you, Ben.
Why
Um,
settle?
well, now I can't jerk off unless there's
Yeah.
people pulling their eyeballs out of their head.
on a spaceship
Oh,
and
God.
speaking Latin.
Jesus. So I'll give you some quick facts about this. One funny thing that I read was Dan O'Bannon was credited as a screenwriter.
Yeah, because his name's in the.
He's the
in
guy
credits.
that wrote Alien.
And he starred in Dark Star.
True, which is the
And
what was,
also
that was
wrote Dark-
the Alien before Alien, right?
Yes, that
Kinda.
was where that's a beach ball.
Yeah, the spiritual successor. Yeah.
Yes, it's a beach ball with feet.
Or
That movie was
predecessor.
based on 2001, because there's the
Okay.
part where he tries Agent Penback or Captain Penback, whatever the fuck his name is, Dan O'Bannon's character, tries to talk the bomb in the bomb bay from not exploding because it wants to explode in the bomb bay. If you've never seen Dark Star, it's a great movie. It's
Isn't
hilarious.
it? It's more of a
That's
dark
literally-
comedy, huh?
That's
It's a dark
that's-
comedy. It's a very weird
Yeah.
movie.
That's a joke
Hmm.
that's a joke in Red versus Blue, where there's a
Red-
bomb that they talk out of exploding. His name is
That's
Andy.
from Dark Star.
Oh yeah.
That's
oh
funny.
yeah.
They fucking
Yeah.
stole it.
He's
Wow.
like, yeah, Andy's like 10, 9, and they're like,
Yeah.
Andy, no, don't explode, Andy. And 8, said, don't make me do it. And it's, yeah, I thought that scene was hilarious. I can't
It's a
believe they stole
play
that.
on. It's a play on Hal. So that's what he's doing. Is
Hmm.
he's trying to talk the spaceship out of not blowing up this bomb in the bomb bay. So
That's
it's
right,
really
right.
it's hilarious. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's really hilarious because they go back and forth, and he's like, the mom's like really thinking about it.
Yeah,
that's pretty
It's fucking great.
That's
really
a funny
weird
concept. That's a funny
I
concept.
mean, it's a funny.
Oh.
I laughed my ass off at
Yeah.
that thing.
That's why I thought, the red versus blue is so good because you're literally trying to talk something out of doing the only thing it's meant to do.
Meant to do, yeah. And that's a John
Right.
Carpenter movie.
No, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like in the scenes, they're like, "We're all calm here. Everybody's good." I feel like you're being patronizing. 7, 6.
Just after this, look it up on YouTube, and you'll
Yeah,
be
I
like,
looked that up.
"Damn,
That
those
was-
motherfuckers stole that shit."
They totally did.
Well, everything's stolen from something else.
Yeah, I know. I'm not
Everything,
knocking. I'm not
everything
Sure.
is a remix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
the
So more-
YouTube series that you should
More
watch.
on the Dan O'Bannon. So it's funny because he was credited as a screenwriter, but they basically threw out everything that he wrote. But they on the movie poster they say the creators of Alien bring a new terror to Earth, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Especially since
is.
Dan O'Bannon basically has written this movie off, and he's like, yeah, they basically threw out everything that I wrote, so I really didn't have a hand in writing any of this movie. And he refuses to like acknowledge it that he was a part of it, basically.
Well, that's a
yeah.
shame because it's like a pretty solid movie. I wonder what Dan O'Bannon's ideas were for the movie.
We'll never know because they threw it all out.
Yeah.
I mean, we could ask Dan O'Bannon.
Everyone was an alien.
He's
dead.
not- oh, is he dead?
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
Oh.
Well,
Aw.
that
That
was
means
my
we'll never
interesting
get
fact.
another good Alien, man. Fuck.
This-
No
oh,
wonder
and
the
this
last
movie-
Ridley Scott movie was so bad.
We didn't get another good alien in after Aliens. That was it. We were done.
We got 2 good aliens.
yeah, and then the
alien
first half of Prometheus,
movies.
and that's it.
The first half of Prometheus.
That's all
is
you get.
Minus the first 10 minutes of Prometheus with the big blue fucker.
He kind of looks like calcification, like in a water tank or something when the water calcifies and it like builds on itself.
He looks
kinda-
like
he kinda
Dr.
looks like that.
Manhattan, dude. He's just fucking
He
the
does.
big blue bald guy. I mean, Jesus, that's the progenitor of the human species.
I'd say he looks more like the Michelin Man.
He does look kind of like the Michelin Man. But what else you got? Any other facts besides Dan O'Bannon?
Movie barely made over $200,000 at the box office.
Yeah. What was its budget?
I don't know. It's not a Wikipedia, and that's my go-to. Y'all know.
They put the budgets on IMDb.
I know. I wish
I got.
they normally
IMDb
put it on
open here.
Wikipedia. What you got, Jer?
I'm looking for it. It was 3 million.
Wow,
Oh,
200.
Whoa.
What a
Made.
burn, dude. But also they probably
10% of its own budget.
ooh,
they
that.
probably I know it's painful. They probably
That
didn't
hurts.
promote it. They probably didn't think it was going to be very good. That happens a lot too. Well, they'll make something, they'll just write it off. They won't
That-
promote it because they don't think anyone's going to want to watch it anyway.
That's a studio
Yeah.
thing, which sucks. And I mean, this is how cult classics get formed. Really, is because a movie kind of flies underneath the radar because, again, like Dad said, like it doesn't get promoted in any way because they're just like, okay, well, we made this movie so we could keep a license or something,
yeah.
or keep
For some
people
dumb reason, yeah.
Because it was
interested
cheap.
or contracted. Yeah, because it was a
cheap.
cheap movie to make.
You know, $3 million. Oh yeah, we can make that. Put it on the fucking roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I mean, like even like the 1982 version of the Thing, it suffered from ET. Is what killed it. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
if it wasn't for ET, that movie might have had a home, except for on home video, where then it became a.
You
cult
might
classic.
even say that it would have been able to phone home.
right.
you
So-
might say that if you wanted to make a dumb pun.
How do you
Talk to
drink
me
out of
about
your-
John Puns.
I can't. I don't have anything. I
How
can't.
do you drink out of your
talk about
stemless
dumb
wine
puns.
glass?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
That
mean,
wine
class.
glass
Okay.
Yeah,
is missing
this
its
is-
tail.
See, the thing about this wine glass is that it
The
has a
tailless
glass.
wine glass.
Oh, it's a wine class. Okay. So what should we do for next movie? Should we do Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Is there anything
down.
new coming out? We do this all the
No.
time. where
Oh,
we're
yeah.
like,
Nothing. Oh no. Actually, Tenant's on the TV now. I think.
Do you want to do
oh,
Tenet?
Should we finally?
We
do
should
Tenet?
absolutely do Tenet.
Let's do
Yeah, we
Tenet.
actually never did it. That's so funny.
Let's
We
do
should do
Tenet.
Tenet. Yeah.
Because I
Let's do
didn't. I
Tenet.
didn't want to go to the theater.
Daryl,
um,
I
I still don't.
unironically want to hear your opinions on Tenet.
Yeah,
I
I'll
have a
watch it.
lot of
I'll
things
watch
I
it.
want
That
to
was
say.
the only movie I saw in theaters in 2020.
Yeah, me
Really?
too. Yeah, we rented out that movie theater for that.
We did.
That was fun.
We
That was fun.
We spent. I spent a lot of money. I spent a lot more money than everybody else on that movie theater.
Why? Is it because of the reservations and stuff?
Yeah.
What should it cost?
Well, it was $200 to reserve the movie theater,
Yeah.
and then you still had to buy tickets to go see the movie.
Are you telling me that I could see a movie by myself for $214?
Well, $224.
Still cheap.
Plus,
You have to buy. You have to buy
unfortunately,
food.
Daryl, this is the part that's the real kick in the balls. You also have to spend $200 total on food between all.
Fuck.
participants.
Yeah.
So
Now
it's
it's
gonna cost me
414.
$414.
Why did you?
What's a movie you really want to see?
Dude, it's not like that
Nothing.
theater was going to be packed anyway, right? There was when I went, there was like no one going to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I
rented
don't know what
I
to
rented
tell
the whole
you,
movie
man.
theater out for $8.
It was a cool idea.
Jeremy, I don't know what the fuck you want me to tell you. All I know is that I ended up spending like $115 to see Tenet.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
man.
because I was paying for me and the lady. You know, the missus.
she probably
Oh,
felt
yeah.
special, right?
Well, especially with the like what 10 other
I
people
am
that went
currently single, so
That's why I
Sips-
said right. Like,
Did you-
stemless wine glass?
Did you learn your lesson? You know,
No,
never
fucking-
run out of
I
movie
spent-
theater for a lady.
you know what? I've spent way more than $115 on a date. So
So have I?
Oh yeah. That's
fair
what I'm
enough.
saying.
Actually, I guess
I fucking went to
about
Disneyland.
I can't think of any movie coming out now that I would have them play an old movie. You know, like I saw on Instagram
Well,
earlier.
they actually, they do at the Alamo. They have like a backlog of movies. Like
Yeah.
you could watch Alien or Jurassic
Oh, yeah.
Park.
I would do that.
Yeah.
maybe not four,
Oh.
maybe if we all split it or something. But
Well, if you have 14 people like we did, it seems a lot more reasonable. Yeah.
yeah, of course. But I want to go by myself is the problem.
Yeah.
You could have all these people buy tickets, but give them the wrong date.
Like that time me and Doug went and saw a movie together separately.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. So I said, Doug, got the tickets or no, meet me at the theater. And he's like, okay, no problem. And we've been going to the Westminster 10 for a while.
Yeah.
And then the last time we got a movie was not the Westminster 10, it was Bellaterra. And I just kind of forgot to tell him that part. So he's in the fucking theater texting, where the hell are you? And I'm like, where the fuck you at? I'm sitting in the fucking theater, bitch.
Oh no!
And I'm like, movie's fucking about to start. And then I'm like, wait a minute, where are you? He's at the Westminster 10. I'm sitting at Bellaterra. He's at Westminster 10. The movie started at the exact same time.
Oh my god.
We watched a movie together separately.
That's awesome.
Were you texting each other during the whole thing? Were you like live
No.
tweeting it?
No, do you know
Absolutely
this
not.
person?
Absolutely
Do
That's
you
a
not.
know
cardinal
this
sin.
man? How dare you? That is a cardinal sin.
How
Did you
dare
guys
you?
at least get drinks afterwards together?
No, we
Do you know?
never even. No, he went home. I went home. It was hilarious.
Yeah, you guys are the worst people.
It's
I
fine.
don't like going to see movies with humans who don't understand the rules. That's all. And Doug understands the rules because he's lives by
He's
the
the
same
waters,
rules.
man.
Yeah.
he's
He
a
understand,
waters.
yeah, he understands the rules because he's not human.
Like if we ever ran out of movie theater, Kyle's not allowed to go.
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on what movie we're watching. If we're watching like a fun action movie, I would absolutely love to
If
go
we're
with
watching
Kyle.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah, or something where it's okay to blib blab
Sure.
the whole time, or whatever.
Mhm.
But
Blib
I don't
blab.
think it would.
I don't think
would
Kyle wants to watch a biopic of himself.
I love that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
How dare you, Benjamin?
oh.
Kyle, if you're watching this, you're fine.
All right, so Tenet for next week.
Tenet.
I will
next
do
week.
fucking Tenet.
All right,
Good, because I
let's do
feel
it.
like I need to watch this movie again.
You know
I
what's
don't
funny?
feel like
I
I
gotta
can
watch
watch that
Can I
movie
just
again,
make a
but
little
yeah, we can.
a little quip about Tenet?
Sure.
I was talking to someone the other day about it, and I was like, man, that guy who plays the main character in Tenet, he gives me major like Denzel vibes. You know, like as the
That's
way
funny.
he like walks, the way he delivers the lines, major swagger. You know, it's like Denzel, and someone's like, yeah, it's Denzel's kid.
Is it really?
Yeah,
And I was
I
like,
didn't know that.
I laughed. I was like, yeah, I know, right?
makes
it's like it's
sense.
that similar.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, no, it's Denzel's kid.
No, dude.
I've seen
it's
the movie like
Denzel's
3
kid.
times. I didn't know that.
You've seen it.
You've
the
seen it
thing
3
that stands
times?
out to me is that you've seen Tenet
times.
3 times.
well, let's
No,
not
we
talk
don't
about
do-
any more of it besides
okay.
Denzel's kid because I don't want to know nothing about it.
You
I
don't
want to
even
go
know
in. I want to go in
nothing
as.
about it.
as- I don't know shit about it now. I want to go in as
There's
cold as
nothing
possible.
to know about it.
Well,
You know what?
Enjoy it.
I had,
enjoy it.
yeah, we'll talk about it. I had a fun time watching it, but I do want to talk about the actual things that happen in the movie that don't quite add up. So, okay.
Whoa.
All right.
Everything adds up. All right.
All right. That's been Dead and Buried. This is the We Like This podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at WLT Podcast. Down below is our Discord link. So you can follow us there. Ben wants heart-shaped pancakes right now, and we'll see you next week with Tenet.
Bye, everybody.